Keep giving them out.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, now we'll call our meeting to order. So, first in line, approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Jeez, where we're at. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none. Approval minutes from our 29th meeting. Okay, second. All those in favor then? Opposed? Public comment? I think. Is it ordered right on ours so that if anybody's here? Okay.
We have one back here.
Okay,
Where would you
So-
like me?
on this first desk, why don't you come up? If you would, just state your name.
Up to the back of your heads.
Yeah.
Hi, my name's Stephanie Lendine, and I'm here for Friends of the Gandy Dancer. I'm on the board of directors, and we do monitor agendas and get here when we can. We did see that you'll be talking about trail planning today and also about kiosk development, and those are certainly things that interest our organization. We've been advocating for years now. In order to promote the trail, we need amenities throughout each community that really showcase what the trail has to offer, where you can get food and beverages, restrooms, water fills, that sort of thing. So we're excited to see that there's trailhead movement in Milltown and also kiosk development in each community. We've been a part of developing the kiosks in Burnett County, and each of those communities has a beautiful three-sided kiosk. So we do invite you to let us know if there's anything we can do to be of assistance for feedback or aesthetics or placement or building or finance. Those are all things that we can help with as a registered nonprofit organization. I know I only have 3 minutes, so I did prepare just a quick one-page flyer because there are new developments on the trail that are really exciting. So if you're not aware of the, Cycling Without Age program, that is a program that the United Pioneer Home in Luck has just developed for their own selves, but it is a program that started in Denmark and is represented in more than 50 countries, and it puts aging seniors and the elderly and people with disabilities in a 3-tire bike situation called a tri-shop, and you have a pilot to the bike that gives these people rides. And so with their unique location in Luck, 1 block from the trail, they've been utilizing the trail all summer long to give their residents rides. So I've got some pictures of that as well. And you can look up more information if you're interested. And then we have other involvements. Our youth ambassadors have developed a book and bike program. So they're putting more kids on bikes and setting goals for themselves with both reading and putting miles on. We've been working with Wild Rivers Conservancy on invasive species management along the trail, identifying problem areas and looking at eradication. And we'll certainly work with both on those any work days that are planned. We've got Gandy Bingo again going this year, and we've given out now more than 3,000 cards, and I'll pass these around so you can see the high quality work that we put together. We partner with ice cream shops in both Polk and Burnett to give away free ice cream when kids get 5 in a row. A couple years ago, we put together the Gandy Dancer pocket map, and we've now printed 7,000 of these, and distribute them as widely as we can to get people here to check out what the trail has to offer. If you ever have any questions, hopefully you know how to get hold of us. We're here to help you decide how to make the trail as safe and as great as it can be. Thanks.
Thank you. All right. So any other public comment? Anything else? Are we here for the public hearing?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, then we will. I'll ask once more for public comment. There is no one else here. Number 4 will be that. Number 5, there is Mr. Luke. You're just here to observe.
I'm just here to observe,
Okay.
learn.
Okay, good. So he's the number 6. Paul, we put you up front.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah,
I'll recuse myself from this one.
you will.
I will.
Sure you will.
Okay.
This will be quick, I think. So to back up, working on a land use agreement for part of the county forest to access a private parcel. We wrote up a land use agreement and the wording, one paragraph, I think it's in your packet. It's might be a little confusing as far as maintenance goes or being able to repair or maintain that. They're an existing road to get to their private parcel. The wording made it seem like they had to do it. So we're just gonna change the wording a little bit to make sure it's clear to both parties that they're not obligated to do it, but that there's a way they can maintain it. Or unusable, they have permission to do that, working through the county forest administrator. So it's just a wording on one paragraph on that land use agreement. Wordsmith that a little bit.
Okay, we have that. It's in red, so that would
Yeah,
be
that's
the-
suggested language, but the context is what we'll work on and wordsmith it. Paul's got another option, but it basically provides for the maintenance to be not required, optional.
Yeah, but if it's bad enough, they can't get in there, they can do something to fix it.
Correct, but we'll let them do that, but they're not obligated to fix it if they don't want to.
Sure.
It's an existing road on the county forest that is now multi-use road that's on our ATV trail up that road. So the county will be doing some maintenance on part of it. Part of it just goes to this private parcel that's not usable for us. So if they want to maintain that portion, they can if they want, but if we're not going to make them maintain it, they don't want to go there because it doesn't serve our purpose. It's just cleaning up language because again, the original wording it made it seem like they had to
maintain.
it.
Okay. So this was already passed, this is just something we're going to do?
Yeah, I just need to have it reflected in the minutes and then we'll rewrite it, reach out to the leasees. And
see what
then
they
they'll
say.
have to record it, sorry?
And then get it, that's what I was gonna say, then get it recorded.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just wanted everybody to know what's going on and shake their head on a minute.
Yeah,
We don't need a motion.
no, okay.
So they'll have to re-record it.
So does that,
Oh, sorry.
She changed her mind.
She recused herself and then started asking questions.
She changed her
That was
mind.
good, that was good, that was good.
Yeah, the original paragraph, again, when we read it the first time, made sense to us that you don't have to, but again, you could read it that way. And so they brought that to our attention, like, well, you could read it like yeah, okay. So we'll change it. But that's it. Unless there's questions on that.
No, how about an update on our forester?
Brent Cisco is on board. His first date is August 1st. So we'll
Did you
onboard
approve him
him.
too? Did you go through the deal with
No,
him?
I've recused myself.
No questions, right?
Yes.
They'll be good. They'll be good.
Easy way out. All right. You must have a copy of all this. All right. Otherwise, we got 5 minutes to the deal. How about number 9? We had 2 pages on that. That's about as good as it's gonna get, isn't it? On F.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's just a 3-minute discussion. Yeah, that's gonna take long.
We're gonna discuss it more? We don't have a lot of choice. Okay. How about the update on the Apple River solar?
I can do that. Yep. I can do that.
Do that in 3 minutes?
Okay.
I don't know about that.
Well, Supervisor Kelly submitted a number of questions to Apple River Solar. They were nice enough to provide a written response. I believe that's in your packet as well. This was approved at the PSC last summer, and this solar project is beyond 100 megawatts. So Wisconsin counties really have limited siting authority if it's the projects are 100 megawatts or more. Of course, we have that joint development agreement with the payment in lieu in place for those 4 towns as well as the county shared utility revenue. So, but basically an update, remember their timeline. They were looking at starting construction as early as this winter. Well, evidently 2 of their 3 studies that they had originally ordered came in late. So they would venture the soonest the project would be operating is late 2024, although 2025 is more likely. And so again, construction most likely wouldn't be occurring until 2024. And that's in there as well. Supervisor Kelly's question about where these panels are purchased, you know, they talk about, you know, investing in photovoltaic US-based companies when purchasing the material, although they can't guarantee it. The other question that Supervisor Kelly has was about disposing the panels once they are beyond their useful life for 25 years. They talk about even though at 25 years, those panels are beyond 80% of their useful capacity and efficiency. But there's a market, secondary market, smaller scale that they can be sold at. They talk about the material that's used to build those photovoltaic panels. There's layers of tempered glass, similar to the car windshield, which give it its strength. They also, at time of purchase, when they buy the panels, they pay a panel fee. You kind of like you'll find a tire or battery. That goes to recycling firms and is used to repurpose those panels. Supervisor Kelly also had a question about the subsidy. It's not a taxpayer subsidy, it's a tax credit, which technically is a subsidy, but they claim it's not. And it's the tax credit is heavy on the front end. It steps down from 26% in 2022 and eventually makes it to 10% tax credit. Lastly, we've all had this question about when and if the project is sold to another utility. All those agreements, the JDA, leases with the private landowners, agreements with the towns and the county, also transfer to the new owners. So those are some questions that brought their attention. And again, that's the
Can we talk about this a little bit?
Very little, we can always come back because
Okay.
we're gonna
let's
do our
come back.
public hearing. All right, let's start with the U acres. I think we'll go right to the time here.
Hearing at 9:16,
Yes.
let's open it up, there's a recorder of everything and move that in.
Okay, U Acres LLC request a conditional use permit from the residential. Oh, that one's wrong. And that, so U Acres request a conditional use permit to take in place more than 5 dwellings or 5 more dwellings on a 3.04 acre parcel in the town of Apple River. which is in section 5, town 34 north, range 16 west. The parcel number affected is 004-00125-0001. Should make note that the agenda, and that is wrong, it's not a rezone from R1 to B3. That was handled before at your meeting in June, and then it was approved by county board, I believe, last night. So, so the property right now is zoned small.
We have to re-agenda, this is what
No,
you're
I'm
saying.
reading it. So where do you think it,
The right thing, it's just that from R1 to B3 should be removed.
okay, but it does talk about the CUP, so we're
Yes.
okay. Sorry. When you said that, I just got,
Okay.
continue, my apologies.
So here we are, we're on the east side of East Balsam. East Balsam is right here. Right now, there's currently a U-shaped driveway that comes on and off County Road I. These are 3 dwellings that are currently there. They're all the same size. They're all served by 3,000 gallon holding tanks. What the applicant is looking at doing is continuing a rental, kind of like a resort atmosphere, either short-term or long-term rentals going to the north here up towards Nival Lane. And so they're looking at placing another 5 homes in that area. In their application, they stated that the maximum dwelling size would be 900 square feet. So they're intending to keep them smaller. When the town approved the rezone request, the planning commission approved for 3 more, but the town board did approve for the 5 more. And the only thing that they were requesting was that there was an access to be connected to Nival Lane to kind of provide that thoroughfare going between Nival and County Road I. So they had 2 points of access going in and out. As you can see, the whole area is surrounded by other single-family homes. The homes that are out there, I believe, are rented on a long-term basis right now. So basically all I've got on it. So we did provide a class 2 notice out to the adjoining property owners. There's no wetlands, floodplains, or navigable waters on the property. It's all high ground. So they're going for a similar and compatible use. So,
What, did you get any letters from any of the people?
did.
Any exhibits?
we got one exhibit. And
Does the town also have theirs for the minutes that they approved that 5?
that was in the rezone
That was in the
packet.
rezone pack. All right, so that was done. Okay.
The only letter that we received in opposition was from Chris and Wendy Wilson. It was sent to me via email on July 12th. And it goes like this. In response to your letter on U Acres wanting to add 5 more rental dwellings, I say no to this. Reasons are as listed. Ever since they built the ones that are existing there, we have had more partying, drugs, racing cars, and UTVs, loud fireworks, fighting, golf balls hit at cars and in people's yards. Adding more renters to this will increase this and add more traffic to the area that has a problem already. A dangerous intersection to the lake and added danger to people turning onto the highways. People don't respect others, and the fact that people work all shifts and some put in 12 or more hours at work at various shifts. Adding more renters will only increase this is problem. And that was so. This is enough problems already with the ATVs on the road now at all hour of the night. Now adding more renters, this will create more problems. The last thing we need is more drug dealers moving in, more fighting, cars racing, and parties at all hours of the night. Having a landlord who ignores what's happening at the rental property will only make it harder for the people who live around the rental properties. So the answer in definite no to adding more dwellings to the existing ones. So sorry, there's a lot of punctuation and typo stuff in that one.
They were one that was sent the letter that Wilson has on the list.
Correct. Yep.
1806. Okay. Right, any questions that Jason will have the applicant then come up? Yes. Here. Come up, state your name because it is recorded. Okay.
Equal to documents and then two of them flash. I got your map. Yep, let's go to the other one first. Go to this one up here. Did you bring a map? Did you? Okay, awesome. Not bring you.
You can do it.
Got some ideas of homes we'll look at.
Like, yeah.
Soil test in there, so.
Okay.
Okay, so this past week, we did meet with an engineer as far as where those buildings would go and what the, do you want me to stand here for the camera? Is that what I need to do?
State your name though.
Okay, sorry, I'm Jackson Rhodey, with 2 Acres LLC. And you can see there's finished floor heights for the foundations. They're going to be slab on grade. In the packet that I dropped last meeting, there's examples of homes that we're looking into. They range from 700 to 900 or so square feet. We did have a soil test out there. It was conclusive that it does need to continue to be holding tanks out there. We were trying to figure out how we could do some sort of mound, and the soil report was conclusive that it was going to be holding tanks. And we would do 3,000 gallon holding tanks similar to what's already out there at the current locations. We took ownership in April. So the previous owner and then I don't know how they managed or whatnot, but we have one of the units we have completely fully renovated. If you drive by, you'll see it's like more of a grayish blue. The other 2 are brown there. And then we do have another tenant moving out at the end of this month that we will be doing a full renovation on the current units that are there as well. When we listed that initial house, once we did the renovation, we posted it for sale. We had 7 applications from the surrounding community. We actually took an applicant that is working for the county, and he is from Los Angeles. And that was 7 applications. We had over 20 people interested, but 7 actual applications. There's a dire need that we found just in the housing study. And the housing study says to focus on infill lots, smaller homes, multifamily. We didn't feel that multifamily really fit here at all. And so that's why we decided to focus more on what was there and smaller units to keep. They are going to be rented. Our primary purpose is long-term rental. That is what is in there currently, or they're all long-term renters. And the idea is to provide the housing for the people that are living in the community that at a reasonable rate. Because there's a big discrepancy in rents right now. They're either really low or really high and on a way. There's nothing in between that we've found from looking through Zillow or Craigslist or apartments.com. And we've searched all those from what our market study has found just internally that we've done is that this is a need, and that's what our goal is here in building these.
We ask questions.
Yes.
So you just said you sold one of these?
No, we did not sell. We renovated it and then rented it.
Okay, 'cause I thought you said you sold it.
We just acquired the property in April. So we just purchased it. We did not sell it. We rented it. If I said sold, I apologize.
That's what I had heard, so I was just clarifying, because these are all be rentals, so the 5 plus the 3, so the 8 will all be rentals.
Correct. And our development phase will be 3 at first. It's kind of in that packet. We're gonna do 3 at first. We don't want to overbuild. We don't want to have any sort of vacancies out there. We feel that the market needs 3 pretty much immediately, but we're asking for 5 because we feel that there is a need for it. It will be filled, and we'll be doing that in a second phase, the last 2.
And there's no garages. How about for a storage shed or something to keep stuff?
There are no garages, no. And what's out there currently, there are no garages. It's something we could look into, but what our goal is here is to try to keep our build costs down so that we can keep our rent down. That's the idea behind it, adding a garage. I know, I get it, it's like very helpful, like makes it a lot of practical sense for this location, but that additional cost, we'd have to put back on the renter, and we'd get up there and
Well, for like a storage shed, so it's more like a trailer park, so they can at least put stuff so it isn't all over, is what I'm saying.
yeah,
Are they allowed to do that?
to keep stuff
No,
in the
to put a
yard.
shed up or something, yeah.
Could the renter put a portable shed
Shed
in,
up.
I think what you're asking, right?
Yeah, as far as our rental terms, we don't allow that. The main purpose of these smaller units is pretty simple living. I mean, they're 2-bedroom, 1 bath. They're not very big. Okay, they're the 1 bedroom. They're really more of like a 1 bed and an office kind of. I mean, it's technically a bedroom, but that a lot of people, if they're storing things, are putting it in that 2nd bedroom. Everybody that lives there currently, there's a single guy, 2 single guys in 2 different ones. So a single guy, and then a younger couple. They're not meant for large families.
Do you do the outside maintenance, like lawn mowing and stuff?
Yes, we do.
So they don't have to have lawnmowers?
Correct.
Anybody else, any questions?
Any sort of storm shelter, because if these are all above ground slabs.
We do not have any sort of storm shelter out there right now, no.
So in Jason's report, he said short or long-term rentals. But you're saying you're looking for long-term.
Yeah. They're all gonna be long-term. We feel that is the need here, the short-term rental. It's to build that many units in short-term rental, it's not really an option for us. It doesn't make sense. When I had talked to Jason initially, like when we were in the purchasing phase of this property, I had mentioned that to him. And that has it's gone on the back burner. We're more focused on the long-term to solve the problem in that area as far as rentals go for long-term rentals.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone here to speak for yet? You're not? No? Jay, no? All right.
Yep.
We're good.
All right. Thank you for your time, guys.
Yes. Why don't you?
Okay.
Yep, you have that one.
So the map will make exhibit 2,
Do
then,
you want to keep one?
yeah, if I can, you just need to hand it out. And then that booklet, I do have a copy of that as well, and that'd be exhibit 3. With that, we can pull up our findings of fact. document.
Did the town have any other conditions besides the road?
Nothing,
That was it.
just to that it had an access going to Nival. Yep.
And then the 7 to 900 is what they've said, but we have a 700 minimum going in now.
And that we have a 400 square foot minimum, but in the application, they said 6 to 900. So,
6
yep.
to 9, okay.
Is there anything to do with that access road? Should that be made so that it be town road specs? Because I see it was 16 feet.
That was just our drawing. And for, if a car's going back, and like if you have cars coming each way, we felt 16 feet was in need so that there was plenty of space there.
Like if the frontage road, yeah.
I'm just asking because if the township ends up taking it over at some point. I mean, down the road, if them ever get sold off as individuals, now it's a town road, not a access.
That's kind of where we're going with our conditions and that, as far as that not being able to be sold off.
Not be able to split. Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so pretty much the same as what I said earlier, 3-acre parcel, and that having frontage on both County Road I and Nival. No significant physical property features on the site. There's 3 24 by 28 2-bedroom cabins right now, all on their own 3,000 gallon septic tank. And that the town did approve the rezone to the small business commercial. With that, staff recommends granting the conditional use permit. The committee determines all the criteria have been met on the following conditions. So our ordinance does provide for parking. And since this area is not a shoreland area, the minimum parking size in the ordinance is 220 square feet in size. So 2 spaces in that could be reasonable in that for each dwelling. That's 440 square feet. For all 5 buildings in that they would be adding, that's roughly a 40 by 55 foot area. So it's not a huge amount of land. That the access to Nival Lane is approved by the town on that, so that they make sure it's set back far enough off from County Road I, and that it's put in, and that to provide 2 access to the property. There should be a minimum separation between the dwellings of 20 feet. We do have a side yard setback when we have various properties or 2 adjoining properties. That's also fire code, so I think it should just be in there to clarify that. Since the applicant offered it up, the maximum dwelling size shall be 900 square feet, and that, which is also what their max was. As far as what you guys kind of hit on with the accessory buildings, you know, if we got 8 dwellings there, and if we're gonna take and allow each one of them had to have an accessory building, things could get really tight really fast. And then you have those buildings getting put maybe too close to that driveway that's everybody's using for shared access and stuff. So it's just a proposal. You guys don't have to take it, of course, but not allowing any accessory buildings on site, but yet, like you guys were talking about, to have some storage inside a 1-car attached garage up to 350 square feet in size. Could be something that you guys put on it. The following one is kind of a catch-all there, that the owner operator must follow all town, county, state, and federal rules and regulations. Each dwelling must have their own sanitary system sized appropriately for the number of bedrooms. And then the parcel cannot be placed into a condominium form of ownership or subdivision. So that means that all the dwellings, whether they've got 3 there or whether they got 8 there, would remain one ownership, and they would transfer as that one lot. So, because that's what they're really asking for underneath this. This is kind of like a housing project, you know, and that, so it's a similar compatible use underneath that commercial layer, because normally they'd only be able to have 1 dwelling on this lot. And it was rezoned back, I think in the early 90s, to be able to build those 3 dwellings. So that's kind of why it's going back to that commercial layer. It changed in 2015 as part of the comprehensive rewrite. So we're going back there, and then because we're adding more dwellings, that's where it required the conditional use. So, I think it is a good opportunity to provide some, long-term affordable housing. Maybe you guys, after we heard the applicant now, maybe you want to say that it can only be long-term rentals or for a rental contract of 30 days or more at a time. It is what we would consider long-term.
It's 30 days.
30 days or more monthly, so.
Yeah, so otherwise it would be a tourist rooming house and they would have to go to
Right, and
different.
that's what, my
That's-
point is, we want to stay away from any
Yeah.
ability for that to be
The short
not
term.
by them, but by the next, owners down the
Yeah.
road at
Yeah.
some point. I think we want to state that it can't be a tourist, no tourist rooming house.
That, yeah.
Who's
Minimum turn
responsible?
or something would be 30 days and that's considered long, so it'd be month by month, not
Yep.
day by day.
Who's responsible for the septic system, making sure they get pumped and stuff? Is that the renter?
We are. Well,
No.
Owner?
The owner.
Okay.
Oh, so you guys will take care of that? Okay, all right.
so we will, as soon as the first new dwelling is done out there, we'll end up readdressing that area so
Yeah.
that shared frontage road or private drive will get a name, or not a name, a number, and then each house will get numbered. Right now, it's one of our ones that we have problems with that's got an A and a B there
Oh, okay.
already, so.
So
So it will actually get on the grid
Alright.
system with all individual addresses going up, just like a normal road would be, so.
So I know they said they don't want any, but no accessory buildings allowed. I guess I'd like to see this, if nothing else, allow an 8x8 or something where you could, as the renter, if the owner agreed to have something there for, as you were talking, Kim, to put something in.
The bicycle or
The
anything.
bicycle that, when there isn't a garage, to allow the owners to say to a renter, yeah, you've signed a 1-year contract and you want to put your bikes in in a spot, you can have an 8x8 accessory structure sitting there to put something in.
Well, that, I have that written down here, that if they have the option of a 350 square foot garage, they should have the option of a storage shed until said garage is built. No, I mean,
It would
I
fit
just
there.
think.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I agree. I'm just I look at it and think, 8x8 doesn't take up very much room. And at least it's something
coolers,
to get
anything,
to the
yeah, small
garage.
boat or something, at least they can
You
put
know.
stuff that isn't sitting all out.
There again, as Kim said earlier, just to get something undercover, so to speak. I mean,
Agree.
yeah,
Without then you wouldn't have, as you said, all these little buildings approaching and all that.
Yeah.
And I think we need some storage. Sure have.
So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. The fifth one down is may have a 1 car or in addition.
So they have a 1 car or the option to have
A storage
a
shed.
storage shed. Yeah, that's okay.
Is that all right for?
The thing that we want to try to avoid ideally is like people putting up very temporary like tents and stuff.
Yeah.
That like we just don't like the look of that. I don't think
Yeah.
it looks great and like they get blown in the wind and what we're trying to do is there's been a lot of complaints of like coming through from county planning all the way up to here. There's been a lot of complaints of the property like just being a dump over the past few years. And we're cleaning it up. Like if you drove by it now, you wouldn't, at least in my opinion, you wouldn't call it dump, but we're trying to avoid that as much as possible. So
It looks better in a shed than all over the.
but I mean, I think
Yeah,
all we're
that's
doing is
true.
giving the owners
Right.
the opportunity to say, yes,
Yes.
you can have an 8x8 garage, just like we're saying you can put up a 350 square foot.
Garage.
So it isn't the renter who's gonna have the say at the end of the day. It's still the,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
still the owners that would have the ability to say, you can't put it up.
It's just that
And you could put it,
the
the kind or
opportunity is there.
whatever.
The opportunity, yeah.
yeah,
You can put what kind you can't
we
put.
can put that in our lease agreement.
You
Yeah.
can put here's what kind of a
But
building.
it gives them the opportunity if they, yeah.
And it gives you the opportunity to say yes.
Yeah, or you could say, to somebody that's renting, if you want a storage facility, we can add one, but that's $25 more a
Sure,
month or
okay.
whatever too. So that gives you some options.
Yeah, they can, okay.
the whole thought process that I had behind one car attached garage at 350 square feet, that's basically 14 by 24. You know, and that's a nice size one car garage. But that's gonna have to be built on. So that's not gonna be something a renter is gonna do, and that's gonna be with their
Yes,
new
the
plans,
option.
you know, and that to have that option. Something to consider as far as size, because that's kind of arbitrary. Our campgrounds, we do allow 100 square foot accessory building so that they're not tied to certain dimensions. So if you want to go 8 by 8, it could be 64 square foot, or if you're fine with 100 square foot, and that's just so that if it's a 8 by 12, you know, yeah, it's up to you guys.
I think we'd leave that up to them. I leave that up to them.
But then,
Where it says no
Jason's saying is
accessory.
we want the square feet and not 8 by 8.
Yeah,
Just,
It just gives them more flexibility.
yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Doug has something.
Okay.
Well, you're finishing up the buildings, but 100 square feet.
Up to or something. So then we'd have to strike the no accessory buildings on the list.
So we would change that one to one accessory building up to 100 square feet in size is allowed per dwelling.
Well, yeah.
And then we would add one condition in here, and that the minimum monthly rental period would be the 30 days.
Yeah.
So, from month to month.
Okay.
What?
Yeah, go ahead.
It says here, installation of natural fencing along the county road. I think that should be a condition plus on the town road. You know, you're right there on the highway. And
The vegetation buffer you want.
well, no, it could be, it just says natural fencing, you know, so either or.
So the ordinance that does require screening and that, but technically, I suppose that would be on both sides. There's pretty good screening on the north side right now up against Nival, except for when you get really close to County Road I, pretty much the right of way there. You know, and that's, I mean, there's pretty good there, but, yeah, I mean, if you guys want special screening, you can do that.
No, there isn't a lot of, I don't know, either show us the map, wasn't a lot of room with driveway.
In the road.
It's only like 61 feet, I believe. So,
You don't want unlock.
All right, are we thinking of that or not? If not, what else do we have to look? You think we should put screening on there or not? We should plan it or not, or just leave it?
Because I think it should be on there. So everyone-
Okay. What's the rest of it? Yes or no?
Are you talking the mound or are you talking the actual screening? Or are you talking?
Just like trees.
I guess my concern is plant trees in the ditch, so then the county comes down the road and mows them
Sprays
off.
them and cuts them. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
So,
too.
yeah, so I mean,
That's my-
is there room to put them? Is there room to put trees in there?
So they won't be able to put them on the right of way, but it is already required in the ordinance, being that there's zone small business commercial, that they're gonna have to establish screening 6 feet tall, you know, of some sort, but the ordinance doesn't specify if that's a privacy fence or.
Okay, so they're gonna have to do it one way or the other, whatever.
Whether or not you want it as conditional.
All right, that's already in there.
Yeah.
All right, then we're good.
Just wondered if
Okay. So then the rest of these is just findings of fact that it's not in a floodplain and all that. Okay.
Just clarification on number 3, if they put, so when they build them, they should probably factor in possibly putting a garage on so that they don't stack them in 20 feet apart. They should be figuring for more. So is there
We're
enough-
figuring 60 feet apart right now.
Okay. This is just that we
Yeah,
have a minimum.
if that does happen, like if we do want to add a garage later or something. My question would be, is it possible at some point down the road, could we add an attached garage, or would that accessory unit or that accessory storage unit limit that to 100 square feet if we did it?
The 100 square foot one. is what you could do. That would be considered an accessory.
One attached. Yep. So it would.
Otherwise, we would have to attach.
One car, yep, attached, because otherwise we'd end up with 16 3-car garages out there. And that with a 900 square foot house is what I'm seeing, you know, and that, I mean, it's not gonna happen right now, but you know, 10 years down the
Yeah.
road, property changes hands.
Yeah.
And we get into these developments like Easy Living all the time and they got a 25 by 50 foot lot and that is she's solid, you know,
Yeah.
so, you know. so.
Okay,
But yeah, you know, I think in Wisconsin, I think it's reasonable and that for somebody to say, you know, hey, I needed an apartment. I need to have a vehicle stored inside so I can have reliable transportation to get back and forth to work or whatever they're doing. So that's why we try to give some allotment, but try to still keep it so that it is that affordable renting situation. So
all right. Anything else, anyone? Now we can close this one and go through our. So the recommendation, you have the notes for that, the change and stuff?
do.
then?
Yep.
Okay,
So we would be adding one condition that the minimum rental period would be 30 days or a month rental. And then 100 square foot accessory building per dwelling would be allowed.
okay,
So,
okay.
But then the 1-car garage is stay, right? As a possibility.
just a suggestion, you guys do whatever
Yep.
you want. but, yep.
Okay,
I'm not trying to tell you what to do. I'm just trying to give you ideas, you know, and that because of what we
Yeah,
see, you
to
know,
make
and
sure.
what we run into the issues when we go to the BOA. So
Specified in there, the garage, I didn't. Either or. I mean, when they put the garage storage, it had to go.
No,
Definitely we had it or really.
we left it.
they could have both.
Yeah, but the garage has to be attached right now.
Okay, that's
They
all.
can't do.
Yeah, I know.
That's the biggest one. We don't have
Just making sure.
30 buildings.
But if they don't have the 100 square foot accessory structure, it could be detached, right?
The
No.
100 square foot accessory building detached and or a 1-car attached garage. So they could have both.
But the garage would always be.
They could have both, but what I'm saying is if they don't have an accessory structure, so it's just the house, can they detach the garage?
No.
No. 100 square foot would be pretty tight. Otherwise, it's gonna be double the build, there'll be 10 buildings up there.
Yeah.
And the garage will end up bigger than the
16
house.
buildings on 3
60,
acres.
yeah.
You know, I mean, you could limit the detached garage in square foot to the 350. And just say attached or detached.
It is attached. Say.
But then does that have
Yeah,
to be 20
that's my
feet
only
from each
point
other?
is that if you're detaching it and we're saying it's still 350
So it
square
would
feet,
be 20
that's all the
feet
bigger
from
it could
from
be.
the attached garage
You know,
to
so-
the dwelling. And that, so the closest point, wall to wall, 20 feet.
Right, but if you detach them, would that be 20 feet between the detached and the dwelling?
It'd be fire code, otherwise the wall's gotta be fireproof. So on both buildings.
So that's why we're not allowing a detached garage.
Right.
Well, it gets tight, you know, so you got a 75-foot setback off from Pony Road I, you got a 63-foot setback off from Nibel, you know, you got a 25-foot rear setback, you know, and the total lot, you know, is only 3 acres, so.
Yeah, there's not a lot of room when you're putting 5
Yeah.
structures on 3
And
acres.
so it's fine, and that, here's what I foresee, and that would happen is they build a couple, you know, 3-car garages there, and then now it's a hardship because the other 5, you know, want to build 3-car garages too, so then they come to the BOA and say, okay, well, they got it, but we didn't, you know, so. Just,
So
that's
it's
what's
gotta fit
happened
in
and
the
that was
wells.
our
Yeah.
campground
no,
and
okay.
condos, so, you know.
The well was my other question. Does each one have its own well or is it one common well for everyone?
There's currently one common well for the 3 units that are there. And we will probably do one well for the additional 3 that we will build in phase 1. And then a second well, and a third well for phase 2.
That's why it stays one property. That
Yeah.
helps that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, any other concerns? If not, let's go through our findings and facts. And conclusions here a little bit.
all we gotta do is have findings on this one. So they're looking to add 5 dwellings to the existing 3 dwellings. Parcel size is 3.04 acres with both access to I and Nival Lane. No wetlands, floodplain, navigable waters on the property. The town approved the property be rezoned to small business commercial with up to 5 more dwellings. The existing dwellings are 24 by 28, 2 bedrooms with their own 3,000 gallon sewer holding tanks. Property is in a residential area surrounded by, normal single family homes. And the county provided the proper class 2 notice prior to the hearing.
And then that the frontage road would be provided. Probably, is that what that would go? Sure. Okay. So that frontage road is in there. Right. So do we need anything else? We just need a motion for or against.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay. Brad and Tracy. Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, then all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, then we'll move on then.
And that was on the conditions.
Of the condition.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Any other questions? You'll get a confirmation letter. Yep. So, and then you're ready to start pulling permits. So,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Yep.
All right, so the next one is a rezone request submitted by Marvin and Lori Swoper. And they're requesting a zoning change from mining M1 to agricultural 10. It's located at 2008 220th Avenue, Section 15, Town 35 North, Range 18 West, Town of Eureka, parcel number 020-00352-0100. And it's the area to be rezoned is 3.73 acres around the current house. So what we're looking at here is Marv owns that property and down here by the gravel pit. That's why this area was all put into the mining classification when the comprehensive rezone was done in 2015. What they're looking at doing is getting their home on its own parcel. And so they're looking at rezoning the area from this corner over to the driveway, coming down to that corner, then going 241 feet here, and then going directly up to the southwest corner of that corner lot. So he does own the shed as well. So that would be the area that would be changed to Ag 10. The shop here, and that is, I believe, where he's got his equipment, and that would remain mining M1. We did send out a class 2 notice for this hearing. And we do have the first exhibit is the regular town board meeting minutes of June 9th, 2022. This is in the town of Eureka. And they did resolution 22-13 and for him to rezone it, and it was approved. Mason and seconded by Osland to approve the actual resolution, and it was motion carried by unanimous roll call vote. That was exhibit 1. Exhibit 2 was an email that we received from Sharon Jorgensen. It was dated July 11th. And it said, Jason, we, Steve, and Sharon Jorgensen are adjoining neighbors to Marvin and Lori Swoper who are seeking a zoning district change. We have no objection/questions regarding the change. So beyond that, the property is pretty straightforward. There's no wetlands, floodplains, navigable waters. It's got an existing access going out to County Road G. Sewer is located on the south side of the house here. pretty straightforward.
Is any of the new lot lines, doesn't make anything non-conforming, does it, for setback?
It does not make anything non-conforming.
Does it take the lot line out of that shed? It does not.
Does
Yes,
not,
it
no,
does.
can you pull
Does
up on the map
Yes, it
and
does.
that on the flash drive? I've got a flash,
check it out.
or a map of the actual rezone area, Sloper rezone, yep, PDF. So this is what the rezone area, according to the meets and bounds, as it was described, would look like there in green. So. I'll let Marv
Yeah,
talk,
then
but I
he
think
can
he's
come
looking
up
at
and-
trying to correct that shed too by connecting that with the parcel to the south.
Okay, that's what I was gonna, because there's a line through it. All right, so any other questions of Jason, then otherwise we'll have the owner come up. Okay. Let's have, just state your name because he has a recorder on, please.
Okay, I'm Marvin Sloper, and my wife and I own that property. And as regarding that line through the shed or that property line, I have a map of it here. So it would be changed. Here's the existing line. And after that, it moves down that line. So
Okay.
that property line would move out of the middle of the building.
And the setback should be right.
Correct.
For, okay. So this one we have to have for an exhibit. Do we get a copy of this?
You can, yeah, we can make a copy or.
Okay, yeah, okay. So basically it's showing, if you show it on the map up there where it says 2189 is about that lot line.
Right there. Yeah, it's going to this line here.
It's going to that line and taking that red one out. Okay. So then it'll meet setbacks and not leave something non-conforming. Okay, that was my question, so.
It does, okay, can we go back to that? It doesn't go. It comes from here then to here. This line. Let's see.
That one's gone then.
That line is gone. It does not, it comes to that corner.
Right. I might not be completely correct in that because I can't draw, angles to the degree on the map, but according to this, it looks like that this here comes up more to like here and then goes up to give this a little bit wider gap in that where it's at the narrowest point. But then this is all connected with this. That'd be lot 4 going straight down. Can you pull up the GIS? This is just a print map and that, so we're not able to scroll down. And can we zoom out a little bit more? Yep, perfect. So basically, this field and the mine here would be one parcel split basically on the tree line coming down. And then this here would be connected with the shed, the wooded area.
And that's going through steep, isn't it? Or CSM is going through.
Yeah, so here.
Oh, okay.
That is an angle there, and that gives us more access to go through.
For lot 4, okay.
So you can see that dash line is approximately the current.
So that puts all his buildings in compliance. Okay.
And the mining district in that you are required to have a minimum of a 5-acre lot. So his proposed house site is 3.73. So that's another reason for the.
That's okay.
Yep. And the town of Eureka likes the A10 zoning classification. So a lot of the town is zoned.
Okay. So the other thing, the other green down there is a cemetery. It doesn't encroach anything on that.
Correct, none of that's changing.
None of that's changing. So that was my only question. I don't know, does anyone else have any questions? You said it would go through, it goes through the surveyor to be double checked.
Yeah, I've got the certified,
The preliminaries that are gonna go, okay,
that's the one.
that's gonna be, oh, okay, stamp, Carl, okay.
Yep.
Okay, and Steve has looked at this.
Steve will be looking
He'll-
at it. Yeah, I
okay,
think he's
when
done
we
a
get-
preliminary, you know, a courtesy review,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's gotta go through the channel. here,
Okay.
so.
All right, I'm good. Anyone else? For rezoning, okay, we should be good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Now, is there anyone here to speak for this one, or against? You're not here for that? Yeah, you're not here for that, all right. Let's go through your staff recommendation then, and
Okay, so findings of fact, and that is it involves a 21.65 acre parcel currently. It's only gonna involve rezoning 3.73 acres into ag 10 now. The reason behind the rezone is to allow their dwelling to be on its own parcel. Parcel has access off of County Road G and 220th currently. There's no wetlands, floodplain, navigable waters on the property. The town of Eureka has approved the rezone request at their June 9th meeting. And that the county provided the class 2 notice to this hearing and well, we got his comment and then we got the Jorgensen comment. On this
okay,
request.
for exhibits, yes, okay. All right,
And then conclusions of law, and that the zoning change of this property to ag 10 is supported by the town of Eureka. It is in a residential area, so the rezoning of the property complies with our comprehensive plan, existing and surrounding land use, and will not have a negative impact on the existing public infrastructure. It's basically staying the same use of the property. So
let's just say, you just, they wanted to, yeah, downsize, okay.
with that, we recommend approval of the rezone to the full county board.
So I will entertain a motion if there's no more questions.
I'll make a motion to approve the rezone.
I'll second.
Okay. Sharon and Doug, I'll put. Hearing no other comments or anything, all those in favor then say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. That one moves on. Thank you. Okay. Jason's got a little bit more zoning stuff.
You want to do that right now?
Gosh, yeah. Or do you want us to go through those to sign them? Or you, no, we'll sign them here.
I got the resolution done, yeah, and that, but we'll wait. So
Yeah, let's go through
the fees,
the fee deal.
okay?
Let's get caught up.
So one of the things in that our office has been seeing, especially lately in the last month or even 2 months since we went through the fee schedule originally, the current fee schedule, we left everything with sewers the same. And that we did do modest increases basically for our land use chunk of the fees. So everything went up a little bit there. One of the permitted uses is a tourist rooming house, short-term rental. And we're spending a lot of time in the office right now on them, trying to make sure that they have their property surveyed, that they have the inspection done by the building inspector. And a lot of times the report that we get from the building inspector is sent 2 to 3 weeks ahead of time from when we actually get the permit. So there's just a lot of kind of going back and forth with the applicant on it. And a lot of emails and stuff just asking, well, what do I have to do? And so it's a very lengthy process. And I think that can be justified just looking at the ordinance. We have a lot of permitted uses in the ordinance. And most of them only have, 1 to 5 conditions. And then our tourist rooming halls, we got 17 conditions that we as staff have to look at, make sure that they're following and stuff. So I think that justifies being able to have an increased fee and that for those uses. Currently, a permitted use, any permitted use is a $400 fee, and that's a one-time fee. Tourist rooming houses, we currently charge a $400, and then we have a $100 yearly renewal because we have that time limitation in there for 174 days a year. We need to make sure that they're going to comply with that with a calendar of when they're going to be renting or providing their place. So what we're looking at proposing and that is to increase that first time initial up to 500. And that because I think you could definitely say that there's 2 to 3 extra hours of going through those conditions, making sure they're complying. A site visit, going out to the property to make sure the property lines are clearly marked and that for the renters. And there's a lot of people that don't like to have their property surveyed. So there's a lot of correspondence that goes back and forth, trying to reassure them, no, you got to have it surveyed before we can take and allow you to start to rent. would be a suggestion that we've got. I know Chairman O'Connell brought up that about a sanitary revision fee. And so when we're out on a site, a lot of times things don't go as planned for a sewer inspection. The plumber maybe, had to move it because they hit the old drain field, or maybe they had, bad soils, or they ran into a pocket. So they might end up changing the system location completely. And that requires them to submit like a new plot plan to us. Sometimes it requires them to submit a new soil test. Sometimes it requires them to do new cross sections of the drain field. So it could be one page that needs to be updated in the permit, or maybe it could be the whole permit needs to be updated. So he brought up on that about charging a fee because there is a certain amount of staff time for following up, make sure we get those updated documents and to review them to make sure that that's how it actually went in. And sometimes they can even revise it and that before the system's installed. So let's say that they change with the location of the house on the property and they end up moving it over to a whole nother spot. Well, obviously we'd have a new soil test for that new spot, but now all the plants have to change as well. Currently, we don't charge a fee for that. I don't know if you want to do these one by one, or if you want to go through them all. Or you want me to go through them all?
Go through, I mean, we should go through because of the fees schedule anyway. We ought to get updated for bids for budget
Sure.
time.
And then another fee that some counties charge, and it's in your packet, is transfer of plumber. So let's say that a property owner was working with a plumber, things maybe aren't going well, or maybe that plumber can't get to their job as fast as they want. They have the ability to change plumbers and go with somebody else if they want to underneath the code and that. And currently we don't charge a fee for that. If they paid their original fee, the permit is still valid. They can change everything over. What that requires though is they have to submit all new plans, and that the soil test would be the same, but all the other documents are all completely new. And that's because they have to sign every page, or they have to have an index sheet with their name and stuff on it. So we don't currently charge for that. But that's another option if the county wanted to implement a fee for that.
Is that what you call transfer fee, Jason?
Transfer fee, you know.
So that comes up like when I got sick. So I had to transfer like 15 permits or so. But like in Polk, it didn't happen. In St. Croix, it was like 90 bucks a piece. So somebody else can do the work because they still have to do the drawings and stuff.
Right, right.
And then the revision is too, there's times he's gotta go, it's the same as a whole new permit. So we're kind of looking, it does tie them up some, and I think just about every county around charges for.
Yeah, it looks like.
Another
Pretty much.
fee, and that is common, is a soil test review fee. And they're generally $30 to $50, depending on what county you're in to review it. In the packet, we included the soil test checklist in that we have to go through for each one of them. There is a fair amount of time for that. My understanding in the past of why we've never charged for them is because we want to get those soil tests at the county. We want the tester to take and be able to report it to us for the people, because if the soil tester or plumber holds on to that soil test, then it's basically like locking in that job for them. So, and that if they are the only ones that got the soil test, then the people basically have to hire them to put in their sewer. And the code actually requires them to submit it within 30 days, but they're not very good at it, I'm going to tell you that. So I just don't want to kind of put a hindrance on getting those submitted to us, get them recorded, because then once that's recorded with us, we can provide it to anybody that owns that property, whether it's today or 20 years from now, and they can take that soil test and go out for bids and that on getting their sewer put in. That's one of the ways in that we've always justified also as being a little bit higher on our sanitary permit fees compared to like Burnett County, is because we include that soil test review fee with the permit. And the last fee that you guys can look at, and that's common, and it's also on that comparison chart that was provided in the packet, is a renewal fee. So a state sanitary permit, so like a holding tank, conventional mound, any of those, is good for 2 years from the date it's issued. And then it can be renewed once. So really that permit is good for 4 years. So if somebody comes in, pulls their permit now, 2 years from now, currently we don't charge a fee to renew it. We just take an automatic renewal. As you can see some counties do charge and that for that renewal for another 2 years. That doesn't take that much time on our end. Basically, all we're doing is just, adding, a date to it, and that it's good now to blank date. But the other ones, some of those do require a lot more time. So we're not really advocating for any of them except for probably the short-term rental increase to 500. It's really up to you guys and what you think is best.
Short term, like you said, the time, I think that's what we should raise.
Yeah, I agree with that one.
That-
I
that
think,
one's-
I think that one should be raised, but I think we all know my view on fees, so.
I'm thinking the soil test one, no, but the, like you said, to keep, but I think they should get something for these transfers, some of these. The transfer
Yes.
renewal and those, because it is like a whole new permit when you walk in.
As far as staff
That's
time,
staff time.
I would say that a revision could be as much time as a transfer. And the renewal will be a little bit less time, but hey, you just took and got an extra 2 years to put in your sewer and that for a
Yeah.
little bit, rather than taking and having to apply for the whole fee again. So I mean, I think all three of those could be the same fee.
Yeah.
What do you think for a fee, like 75?
And that, well, yeah, I mean, it looks
Average.
like the most common is anywhere from 50 to 125. And a lot of them are in that 75 to $100 range. So.
Street, put 75 on it. For renewal and transfer and everything, what does everybody think?
We know what I think.
Yeah, but I'm paying it.
To give you an idea how often does this,
I'm paying it.
Yeah, I charge you eventually.
All right, comment.
As long as we're
to
consistent.
give you an idea as far as how often this happens, we maybe do a half a dozen renewals a year, around 6. And that plumbers about the same, maybe about 6, and that revisions are gonna be more common. And that I would say that there'd probably be a solid 20, maybe 30 of them a year. So probably about 10% of the systems are out there. So
So, yeah.
would be substantial enough to require a revision.
50 then.
Look at a lot of these and they're in that, they're more favorable towards the 50 range in the neighboring.
That comparison is from 2019, yeah.
You look at St. Croix,
They
they
could
probably
be
double.
outdated, but I think St. Croix is still $90 on all.
Yeah, I think St. Croix. And they charge 30 for the soil test. They charge 25 cents a piece of paper. $5 to walk in the room. They nail you pretty hard.
Oh, okay, 55.
Oh, gee. Somebody- Well, do we think 50 is good then? I mean, we're pretty close to everybody then, or
I mean,
that was
it's-
3 years ago, so 75.
I guess they're all a little higher. 3 years from 3
I'm
years
fine
ago.
with whatever, I don't have to.
75 then.
I'm okay with 75.
75 good? Way at the end, what do you think? Yep, 75.
What would you pay?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Whatever you guys-
Yeah, whatever you gotta pay, right?
75,
Okay.
5 to 1.
It always is.
It's always 5 to 1.
So which ones on here, Jason, are we opting to do that? Are we going all of the blanks that are open, or which ones are we doing?
Well, on that comparison, what you'd be doing is a renewal and the transfer. They don't have one on there for a revision right now. I don't know. That's just something that our group and that of zoning staff put together, back then. So that's why not everything's going. So,
So those 3 will just be added now to our.
Yep.
So then this will be updated for our fee schedule.
2023,
For
right? I'm
2023.
doing in the budget workbook, which came out last Thursday. This is our first
Got it.
exercise to be submitted to Dawn, is to update the fee schedule. We did all this back in May.
Yep.
It's just what kind of spurred all this was, again, zoning staff's time spent on the tourist rooming house, particularly since the ordinance changed.
We can make
It's
that
based on our
1,000.
time, right? And they're spending 2 to 3 more hours with these tourist rooming house applications. So that's what caused all this. And then, you brought up the other.
Yeah, the revisions and stuff that we've kind of missing. So there isn't a lot of them, like you said.
You got a handful of emails before they apply for their permit. And then you gotta take and go out there and do a site visit and that to verify the lot lines. And that a lot of them are on old septics because they're around the lakes. So now you're dealing with the septic and trying to get that up to date, and then you're dealing with the occupancy. And unfortunately, we've had to revoke quite a few of these again, so it's just, they're a handful. So
Because everybody and their brothers are in their house. It's like going
It
to
is.
Ireland.
It
Yeah.
is.
Everybody's house is a B&B. And right now around the lakes, they're all.
Logan was on one, and actually I got another complaint on it yesterday. It was up in the town of McKinley on Margan Lake. And that I had issued a cease and desist order, talked to the people many times, it was back in April, May, and that they were supposedly done renting. And he took and pulled up yesterday and he went to the door, the renters were there. He took and said, "Are you guys renting the place?" And they're like, "We don't know what to say," but she said, "I'm here till Saturday," or "We're here till Saturday." So, I mean, that's what's going on out there. And so, I mean, now it's like that whole thing, the cease and desist has already been done, citation was done, everything's done, but
They don't stop.
it's not advertised on Airbnb now, and that we looked it up this morning, $453 a night,
So they can afford to pay the clients.
$500 fee is nothing.
Yeah.
And that's just on Margan Lake. So.
Never heard of that lake.
So we're good. We got our fee
So
schedule.
we're
set.
adding three new fees and then upping the tourist rooming house.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's weird. Just coincidentally, I'm doing this piece of the budget this week, so.
This week too.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
So this is at the 11th hour. The other governing committees are also reviewing fee schedules as well.
So land and waters didn't change.
We did that back in May, remember? They just did the CPI.
I know. That's why you're gonna ask. All right. How's our update? Yeah.
Right, I'm gonna play myself and Mo today. Why I wore this fancy shirt. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they got their shirt on.
Yeah, they got their
shirt.
Oh, got that with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, so from Mo, we had talked, Bob and I had talked to him earlier this week, and a couple updates at the Woodley property. The new berm has been installed, and then we'll be following up with putting in the fencing later this week. That's what I talked to, but
I was like, they're gonna drive their car over that.
yeah,
No,
And
it's really low.
it's, right, and it's just laid over asphalt too.
Yeah.
So idea was to plant sumac or something that could really take there.
provide a buffer between the two
But the
properties.
buffer, I was out there on Sunday, it's not that high, maybe 2 feet high.
Yeah.
I thought it was gonna be
Yeah.
4 or 5 feet.
So we'll work with those guys.
I'll share that feedback.
I thought when they dumped the truck, that it was gonna be that high. I'm like, that's good. And I did the, oh, stop.
Look it back up.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so those two things are happening at Woodley. The playground equipment at DD Kennedy is gonna be installed the second week of August, it sounds like. So it'll be fun, it'll be a nice addition to that park.
So we have to raise our fees all the time.
Yeah.
Are you gonna be the first one?
Yeah, he's gonna take his grandkids.
Hurry up, get that done, Tim. Send him the memo.
That's right. Will do. The new ATV loop, the posts are in and we're still waiting for signs, but as soon as those signs come, those posts and the signs will be up. ASAP. And finally, this is the last update I got from Mo, is that the Wanderers parking lot will be worked on this week. I believe that's gravel.
Gravel this week, okay. That's what 3/4 of the 13 projects get worked on.
Yeah, so that's his update. Yep.
Updated, good.
Yeah,
Okay.
for the projects that are being implemented right now.
And your boat planning looks sweet.
Does it? Should have told him that, yeah. Ben and those guys did a good job on that.
Mhm.
You plug in the USB.
Yep, so I won't argue that.
That's okay. That's okay. A couple other updates. In your packet, I have kind of just a couple page document at the end there that lists kind of where we're at with some of these other projects. I posted this on our website too, so anybody can see this. It's not on our comprehensive trail network plan page. There's a couple things I wanted to highlight. The ATV equestrian study from Prairie Falls, Silver Neck County. The RFP closes on Friday. So far, I haven't received any proposals, so we'll see what comes of that. As usual with those RFPs, I've contacted the same players and I expanded that network this time too. But same thing happened with the intensive use park. We didn't really hear from SCH, but they've submitted a proposal on the last day. So maybe the same thing will happen here. See, you got,
What do you want?
yeah, people.
So yeah, just as a reminder, we talked about the last meeting. I know it's been a month, but again, Tim put together a quick summary of the 13 projects. So that's just an update. And like he said, it's been posted on the website for dissemination.
We meet with Mo and his staff on a monthly basis to make sure that all that information is up to date, and then we update the website. So try to get that information as up to date as we can.
Did you talk about the city?
I'm going to. Oh, this one? Yeah, if you could just open that, yeah. Just start at the top. So in your packet, this information is, this map is in there. One of the other updates I have for you is on the ATV intensive use park. So we've been meeting with SCH for about a month now. And one of the things that we listed in the RFP was a site visit. So we went there at the end of June with a couple folks from SCH, their project manager and one of their engineers to visit this kind of a gem in the state for an ATV park. Significantly larger than what we're proposing. We're proposing something, in the 40 to 60 acre range. This one's 600 to 700 acres. And it also involves motocross. So you got dirt bikes and that kind of stuff out there too. But it's been renowned and it's a cool spot. It really is. One of the things that's neat about this is the landscape is really similar to Sterling, super sandy, central sands, part of the state of Wisconsin. So very similar, jack pines and that kind of stuff, sandy soils out here. So it'd be easy to replicate the same stuff or similar stuff. So we spent most of our time going on to this teal area and over into this red and purple area on our site visit. Stuff over here, a lot of it's more like motocross kind of things. This is ATV and UTV tracks over here and a challenge course. Just wanted to kind of give you an outline. We spent a couple, 3 hours down there going over what the specs were, what their maintenance process was, that kind of stuff with the folks. This is run by the town in collaboration with a motorcycle club. So it's been built over the time. This has been open since the 80s. So it was originally like a 20 acre parcel and it's just growing and growing and growing. Wanted to capture a few things from the park itself. This is their pavilion and check-in station. So we've got a bunch of picnic tables here underneath the pavilion and outside the pavilion. This is the check-in area. So you pull in the parking lot, you come in. They're charging. At this point, we're not planning on charging, but they charge, I believe it's $10 a day for weekdays and $20 a day for weekends. And they also have season passes there too. You have to sign a waiver form, all that fun stuff. Parking lot's huge. I mean, you could probably post a few hundred rigs there. It's pretty wild. Right off the pavilion is this youth track. And that's one of the things that we thought would be an interesting thing to add up there. So just these little rolling features, and whether the kids are on bikes or ATVs or UTVs, they're smaller size ones, but they can use any of that for any of those facilities. We'll just roll through a couple pictures and I got like one or two videos just to show you, give you a feel for what this place was like. This is just us heading out to the site, rolling through. Again, you can see jack pines, really sandy soils. The trails are rolling, you know, that's a road, that's a county road right there. So they're stacked pretty close to the road in some cases. I just wanted to capture a little bit of the signage too, to give you an idea as to what we're gonna need for wayfinding and that kind of stuff while we're out there. So a couple of those kind of pictures. Okay. Fencing, I think that's something we're gonna need to make sure of. They made a big point of that when we were down there, is to keep, you know, people that aren't supposed to be using the property off, and then to keep the people that are on there from going off into neighboring properties. So their entire 700 acres is fenced in. So it's a lot of fencing. They do a lot with the ATV and UTV grants from the state, especially the maintenance grants. They get a lot of funding that way. So that's something for us to consider going forward. This is kind of the beginning of a challenge course. I'll talk a little bit more about the survey that we did with the ATV group going forward about the different features, but you start seeing there's 2 tracks basically when you're going around this challenge course. There's the easy one that's just flat. If you don't want to go on that obstacle, you can get around it. Otherwise, there's some start of these little moguls and that kind of stuff going through. And you got some old tires. So a lot of this stuff is like donated or they found or just laying around, you know, old tires. You can use that for anything. Another big old tractor tire just as a feature to go over and that kind of stuff. And then hill climb, just with some obstacles in it. This is pretty generic at this point. And you can see again, there's that parallel track. So if you're not comfortable with that feature, go around it. Good. Just another close up, just a little like log berm there. That's a picture of what he just went up. It's kind of small. They have 2 kind of sand play areas. This was like a smaller one, and the other one is like 30 acres or something like that. Guys want to just tear around on that. They said that and the mud bog and the challenge course are kind of their popular spots, you know, up there. I'm riding in a UTV here, so partly camera work, but just want to give you an idea. So again, 2 trucks, just like old utility poles, that kind of stuff that they cut up. Use as one of the features. Now you get like railroad ties, kind of side by side, staggered. Challenger suspension, that kind of stuff. That's what they call their challenge course. Again, you can see the sand. Again, more utility poles this way, perpendicular to the trail. And you got them running parallel to the trail as options. And then rock gardens and trailer tire features again. Just wanted to give you an idea. Again, you know, more stuff about signage. And this is all one way too, just so you know, keep the as much as possible safe, you know, and I think they had probably a couple 100 feet of 2-way traffic just to get you to and from the pavilion, but otherwise all the trails are one way. You go ahead, Bob. So this is just kid riding around on the little youth track. I thought it was kind of fun. He went around like 10 times and every time he got a little faster. It's kind of fun to see.
When do we go on our field trip then?
That's a good question. They actually mentioned that, but I believe it's in the fall. And I can get these dates for you, but they have like an open house day. They have like representatives, you know, politicians come, people from Polaris and all these different manufacturers come and they make a day of it. Go down there. It's an open invitation. Anybody that wants to go, we can go down there and check it out. It's a pretty neat place. And they say on weekends, sometimes they get 250 rigs in there on a weekend day. It's a popular spot. You can check that out. I just wanted to give you a taste as to what that place looked like, since we made a field visit down there. So one of the things we wanted to do with that information is just see what those features really look like, what kind of use they're getting, what things are most popular, that kind of stuff. In collaboration with an ATV and UTV user group survey that we sent out. It was a simple survey, just a couple questions, but we wanted to say, if these are the features that we're looking at, what's the most priority for you? And you can see in your packet the survey that we sent out and the results. The main things were trails for all ability levels. That's one of the key things we're trying to do with this, is to make it so that it's not just for experts, or not just for beginners. You got something for everyone out there as much as possible. Having those natural obstacles, obviously a sand pit makes sense. Mud bog, not so much in Sterling, unless you want to bring in a bunch of water and clay and all that sort of stuff, which we add to the maintenance costs quite a bit. And then a challenge course. So those are the kind of 4 or 5 main things that we'll be focusing on. We'll use that information with the design work with SCH. Get a preliminary design coming up at the end of the month. That's where we're at on that. Any questions?
Oh, should be good.
Okay. Sounds good. The other thing I'd like to point out in terms of the trail network plan projects is that Bob and I will be meeting tonight actually with the city of St. Croix Falls, their Parks, Arts and Trails Committee to talk about mountain biking trails in the city. So maybe looking at the success of those woolly trails there, and it's already renowned for mountain biking and that kind of stuff. They're willing to be partners with us to establish additional trails or make additional improvements to some of the features they have already out there. And when we talked to the mountain biking groups, we had stakeholder meetings back in June. They said that if you're going to start your own trails, you kind of need 10 to 15 miles of trail right away in order to make it something that people will come to. If they're not used to going there already, then you have to have maintenance or support group, that kind of stuff. So stuff out in the sticks is going to be a challenge, and people are already used to coming here. We figured it was a good place to start. Just have that conversation with them. Make some expansion on something that's already working well.
That needs parking and stuff there too, doesn't
Hey, it's interesting. When we talked to the stakeholder groups in June, the Woodley obviously have branded themselves as a destination. In fact, last weekend was their, annual race, and they have their challenge is volunteers and expertise. They have some erosion control issues on their property to access Gandy. The technical expertise is something that they lack. They have resources, so one of the 13 projects is to, build on our mountain biking assets. And currently, we shared a couple sites on county property, but again, you're talking about, up in Summers Lake, Sterling. Is that a destination? Will that draw mountain bikers? And they didn't think so. Why not build on the current assets that are in place? So we're just going to have that conversation today and see what their needs are. It might be just some, a couple days of public works equipment out there, and Karsten designing some erosion control measures. So we'll see what they have to say. And this one is unique. It's like the other one, again, coincidentally with the city of St. Croix Falls, which is the trailhead project for the bathroom. This might be another intergovernmental effort rather than on county property. So we're just exploring it, and that's another thing we'll hear about tonight. We're on the agenda twice, actually. I was looking at the Parks, Arts and Trails agenda. They're also going to update us on the trailhead project, the bathroom project as well. So at the next meeting, we can report on where their RFP is at and what the city's plans are in terms of construction timeline. So,
One of the things with the Woolly and stuff is its location now, because when you say volunteers, it's just not volunteers for trail stuff, it's volunteers for when they have the races. I know a lot of people in town in St. Croix that volunteer just handing out water, help with coordination of the races. If you get too far civilization. You don't have enough volunteers for those types of things too. So it's a big deal in the city of St. Croix when they have those bike races and stuff.
Yeah, and they said the trail clearing or maintenance stuff is the biggest issue, and that happens so often with the windstorms and that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. And that's where they need the technical expertise too, is you can't just, you can have guys going out there with rakes and hoes and all that sort of stuff, but chainsawing and that kind of stuff. You know, they have a few people that are certified to do that. That's one of them.
Those guys are crazy. I've been on the Gandy walking with, or biking with the grandkids, and they were next to you, flying through the air. It's like,
Yep.
there's something to see.
Okay.
Well, that would, that's what I have for 8A and 8B.
Okay, now your kiosk design layout stuff,
You can.
Yeah,
pull that
pull
up.
those up.
we have some of those layouts and stuff.
Yeah, you have ones in the packet here, so.
The challenge here with this is, well, I'll let Tim set the table, but we need a decision, basically. We need some committee or someone to make a decision on which format design is acceptable, so we can stay on task with purchasing and installing these new kiosks. So that,
How many are you putting in, or where, each spot is gonna be a little different, isn't it? Like the DD Kennedy, but I mean, if you have the difference.
That's one of the ideas behind the kiosk, is to have like a layout to say like, well, we would like to have, you know, the name up here, information here, the site map. So it can kind of be plug and play. So each one follows the same layout, but you just put in the unique information about each facility, whether it's a park or a trail on there. And what we've done is the guidance we've gotten from the Public Works Department is that they've replaced a few kiosks in the last year or two. They kind of already have new ones that they'd like to follow that same format. So they're thinking like a 4x4 wooden background, and then they have aluminum awning on top of them that they've already installed, like over at Apple River Park and that kind of stuff that they'd like to follow, since they already have the materials for that kind of stuff. So we went with that layout to say, okay, 4x4, we can just stick, you know, the map will get printed on its own. This could be a sign and a sign, and this could be just a banner kind of thing. So we're just looking to say, like, you like the map over here, the text over here, and the logo down here, and the title up here, or you like it shuffled, and what do you think about the text? And we're trying to follow the logo with the color scheme here. We have blue and green and gold in our logo. So that's one of the things that we're trying to incorporate here. Few key features, you know, the map, the legend, and then kind of a location map to say this is where you are in the county, and this might be where a few other resources are around you. This one doesn't show it. The next one, or one of the following ones, will show it. We're gonna have a QR code too that you can scan with your phone. That'll take you right to the rec viewers. You can look at any of the other recreational opportunities here in the county while you're standing there on site. The total number of kiosks, I mean, there's some key spots, of course, you know, I think like the St. Croix Falls, Milltown, Centuria, all the spots along the Gandy, all the stuff along the main trails like the Stour, Cat's Hill. Yeah.
the number and where they're going is in the signage plan that Ben's working on. So we have identified sites for this.
Mhm. So the specific actual spot, like, yeah, we want to put one in Milltown, but where on that property, we'll work on that, but we have a lot of those things figured out.
So the layout is the biggest thing.
Yeah, so we wanted to give you just a few different examples.
And
What is Burnett, how does Burnett's laid out? You said, did you have to have a picture of one or not?
I do on my phone. I can certainly email it to someone to get to you. Yeah,
But I mean, do they have it like these?
similar.
Similar, okay.
Yeah, there's key information we want to convey. You know, we want to have a map of the site. We want to have a legend. We want to have key information about the facility. And we also want to have contact information for the Parks Department. In case there's any issues, or if you want to make reservations for some of these spots, you know, we want to make sure that information is out there. One of the things that's different about this, you know, we've included some pictures, but this one actually points to each of the spots, where they're located on the map. These maps are just kind of samples. We're working on that piece too, to identify each individual thing on there to say like, this is a hiking trail, this is a cross-country ski trail, this is where the shelter is, this is where the bathroom is. That'll all be notated on these maps, and the maps will be probably 2 feet by 2 feet in that neighborhood.
Another key piece on all of these is, of course, the regulations. They're all clearly on the. This one's actually a product of our new
PIO.
PIO, Public
something like
Input.
Kind of like logos. If I ask 8 of you which logo you like best, we're gonna get 8 different answers.
Yeah.
But we thought we wanted to throw these out in front of you, just to get your reaction. It's kind of a group representing this whole effort. You know, I think our staff and so on, we start looking at different things that we think kind of like this one, but we want to make sure that we have buy-in on the concept. Is there one that jumps out at you? Says, I really like this because, or is there something you say, I don't like one because of this? That's kind of what we're looking for here. And then I think we can move from there.
I like the ones with the pictures on like that, that aim to it. So you actually get to see what you're, if you came up on it, you'd see it.
So can you crisp up that one, Tim? So like the one that has the blue
That
in the
one.
middle, so like
Yeah.
that whole site map,
Yeah.
like cube,
Mhm.
but crisp it up to put it on
To show
the
that.
one here. So you're just making it more bold, like with that blue on the third one that you showed us.
So this one.
This one?
So that one there, but have the first image that you showed us.
This one.
Just, I mean, like crisp it up so it's blue like that.
This?
You like the blue
Yeah,
background?
Yeah.
background makes it really sharp.
Background.
So it's bold and it sticks out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Or if you could take what we were just talking about, we like that this one points to where the things
Yep.
are. Could you make this one point to where the things are?
Yep.
You know, either
Oh, for
way.
sure.
it's kind
Then
of
they
the same.
have that little
You-
thing on there too.
Do you
But
like
they could
the-
add that.
Yep, and those are all good points. So,
I mean, you could add that
The scan thing.
scan
is
thing, right? The
replaced.
barcode thing on here, right?
Like Marco's room.
Yep.
That one's not as sharp looking, but we like what's on it.
Yeah. Exactly.
do you like the layout of having, this is like information about the park, like key things, and then this is regulations? You like the map in the middle and 2 things on the side, or do you like all the information on one side and the map on the other side? Just as an example, does that matter to you?
I'll tell you what, 90% aren't gonna read either side.
Yeah.
Look at the
Yeah.
map. So it don't, to me, it doesn't matter. I mean, they're not, they start reading it, it's a regulation, that doesn't mean anything. Where am I going? Right here. I wanna go see
Yeah.
that place. I wanna go see this bridge.
I like that there's, you know, Polk County,
That
it's
it's
got the
there,
phone
though.
number, the website.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I also like that they point to where these are located on this map.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Ours will work.
Do you think there's anything missing? Like information that we think we need to have on these maps that we don't showcase
Which way is north?
here? That'll be on the map. Yep.
I don't know either.
The very-
I know, but I mean, that's a map should always have at least north up
Yeah.
on it or something. It should have, because your GPS and everything will have.
Or
that
just
too.
do it from the top of each.
Yeah, just say no.
I follow up with Sharon. Bradley, you're just gonna love
You want a playground, don't ya?
this. It should have the scan on it, as Brad knows, everyone lives on a phone.
Yeah.
You know, I don't necessarily have one. Everyone has one.
Well, I spend a lot of time on it, but I couldn't scan that code to save my life, so.
There's lessons for that.
I think it's scared. What good did it do? What's it gonna do?
Well, you
Yeah.
could just go with them in Clam Falls, so where else do you need to be?
Emergency.
May
Good
I
point.
comment on what I see here?
Yes,
Okay, just aesthetically, the screen one that we're on now is, for my eye, much more pleasing, and with times, the one with the blue and the commentary on both sides of a map is feels very clip art and old school to me. This one, or yeah, that one to me is a no-go in terms of what era we're in. And then my question would be, are you willing to hire a designer within our county that has the experience to really bring this to the next level? I think you're really close here, but I think there's just a few more things that could be done with the layout. And if you have money to spend on that.
Oh, we got money.
Yes.
Oh,
All right.
God, yes. God, if you were here last night, we got hundreds of millions. We're rich.
What about the address and where you're at?
Oh, yeah, good ideas. Yeah, that was in some of the sample maps. Again, this one has a north arrow, but it was in some of these sample maps. That's a good point.
But I mean, would they, so we get like on the Andy, that one, I mean, do we try to match up so Burnett County that it doesn't just, every map is different? Do we try to, is that a state thing? That we try to keep someone close to the same? So it's continuous all the way? If that does that make more sense too to some people?
I can tell you what we did in Burnett County for their kiosks, for the Gandy specifically, because it's 47 miles and it's total going through 2 counties. We did a blow up of the Burnett section, and then smaller, we showcased the whole trail, so people were very aware of the fact that it continued on into Polk. So in Burnett, you get a visual of the trail going
Up
from
that one,
Polk all
okay.
the way up to Danbury. Yeah, the whole length of it, but with more specifics to Burnett. So we could do the opposite here on the Gandy maps, which is the Polk section.
It might be
But
reason
also
for
give-
consistency, but we do want to make sure, because we're making this issue or initiative to brand Polk County and our parks and trails.
We
We
still
want to
do
make
it,
sure
but-
that we identify it. People know they're in Polk.
Well, we gotta
County.
remember state trails, they don't have specific things that we have to put on there. It has to say a state trail on there somewhere.
For specific colors. Yeah, you talking about
Yeah,
Trail
but I mean,
maps
the
or-
state trails, we have deals, you can't put signage up, this without the state approval. So I mean, do we have to kind of go by some of that rules, regulations too? 'Cause they are the owner, so to
Well,
put a
most of
sign
these-
up, you
yeah,
have to
most of
do.
these kiosks are going on county property. The Woodley Dam, the new loop, Apple River Park.
Yeah,
So this would be at a trailhead.
this would be a trailhead
Yeah,
one.
it's a kiosk, so it's informational.
But doesn't the
signage.
state, I thought the state had deals, you still had to go by what their standards were on the state trail.
Trail signage.
Signage itself, yeah,
It's just informational stuff.
informational.
Kiosk.
Okay. All right.
Would it be worth putting like the mileage on?
Yeah, on the map itself, yeah. Here we talked about that too, to say like this loop is 1.2 miles.
Or different checkpoints, or, this is a mile, this is 2 miles.
Sure, yep. Mhm.
Freeway.
Well, and then Candy, I mean.
We're gonna
should
have
almost,
more
start
road
at
signs.
one end or
Look
the
like a
other,
freeway one.
and have different, like road markers.
There are mile markers. Every mile.
Okay. So is this something you think we should do today, or is this, was this to think about and move forward on?
We'd like to move forward.
We'd like to continue on task, and so we're just trying to elicit input from you all and your endorsements, so we can continue.
Which would be the nicest, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, we've got some information about what features you like of the different maps, but if there's like a specific one of these 3 that you're like, this layout works best.
That layout, that
With the
map
blue.
on the first one is way crisper. Looking like that, but just make it crisper.
That map, that picture, there's 3 times as bright.
Yeah, that one looks nice, that middle blue. Just put that right on there and leave all of that.
So you're
stuff.
just talking about changing the background.
Yeah. Yeah. So you have the arrows and everything pointing to where it is. 'Cause that one doesn't have it. And then adding whatever else people suggest.
Sure.
Tim, if you guys just take it from there, and then when Tracy doesn't like it,
She can point to you guys. She can blame it
No,
on
I'm
somebody
sure, I'm
else.
sure it'll be fine. It just, yeah, it's kind of one of
I
those.
think you got enough, you can move forward.
Yeah.
Good ideas.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
You good, sir? That's,
I think we're good then,
that's
huh?
what I have for you
That's what
today.
you had for us. Okay, let's go to the good old Act 216.
Did everyone get a handout?
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I'll step.
Amanda's joined us. She has not. So Amanda is not here. I'm gonna try to join us remotely. Not a lot to present. We're down to 12 parcels, 2 of which have structures. I think we remember the one in Cushing, the old post office for Sterling. And then there's another one that's pending, again, has yet to go to court, which is not scheduled yet. I think that's gonna get sent over to Malia soon. These are notes from my debriefing from Amanda last Monday. That structure, that parcel is in the village of Osceola, and too bad Tim left, because it's 2 doors down from where he lives.
Yeah.
So that's 912 Oak Ridge. So we have, again, 12 parcels, 10 with no structure. The vast majority of them are, looking on it, I actually saved it on a flash drive if you want to look at them, but I think it's a little premature. They're mostly that development south of M there. One owner. So they have yet to go to
Gateway
court.
Meadows, all those little ones.
Yeah,
Is where some of them are. Is there 4 or 5 in there?
4 or 5, you're right.
Yeah, so that's
We
half
sold
of
them a
them.
few years ago and then they've never paid taxes.
Yeah, then
Oh.
they caught up the
Really?
taxes. and left.
So they still need to go to court for that final.
What about the one that had 3 parcels? One on the lake and one in.
Those have been settled. We have, thank you, by the way. I think you helped out with that. We have a piece, a small piece, which is not really sellable. 0.004 acres in the town of Lincoln. Reached out to the neighbor, Amanda did. And their neighbor is interested once it goes on auction. The rest are all in the village of Osceola, except for the post office in Cushing. But again, I think they have yet to go to court to get that granting of final ownership. And then they have that 45-day notice, and then it goes up to auction. I will tell you, we have some time, and we also have those 2 parcels in Clam Falls. Is there any value showing those? There's 3. We can't sell the lot with the dam on there. I can pull that up if you like. So I was gonna package all those together. I could bring that up if you're interested, but it is a little.
Well, that's something that he has to do once a year. That we have to buy here, didn't we? We got every 2 years to go
Well,
through
what we
the.
thought was, because we went over them last year, we only have
One new one.
one new one, and then which one is that?
That's the one that actually should be the town of Lincoln's, which is the cemetery. Remember the
Yeah, the cemetery. Okay.
destination?
We also have
Discovery.
Clam Falls Bank.
With
Those
Clam
2
Falls
parcels.
Dam and the other 2 properties with
So there's really no need to go over
Over it,
the
'cause
other.
it's 820 or whatever it was.
This is under 700. But in that year, it was a great exercise. Tim, it really was. And, we identified 4. We had a nice windfall last year. Beyond that, most of them are right away and parks, forestry properties. And, you know, Steve and I went through all 700 last year. I think it's a good practice to do periodically every 3-4 years, but, or 2 years, sure. But we,
We're trying to get it any longer.
just going back in our memory, what we've experienced in the last year, the only properties we've acquired are those 3 lots in Clam Falls, and then, of course, that Amory.
So
Prairie Farm,
that's what that's what, to the administrator in our policy says that he would suggest that we have no use for. So in that policy, you come up with, okay, these 3 we don't need.
Right.
I say, that's where we found the Woodley Dam one that saved the one up by the lot. We finally got rid of a bunch of stuff that was sitting here forever.
Yeah, it was
So now
productive.
we're keeping caught up. So if we only have 3 to sell or whatever, we can decide we want to keep it.
We should document in writing how often we do it, because
I think we put that in
Tim
there
O'Connell
every 2
won't be
years.
here 20 years. from
I
now.
know,
Yeah.
but I thought we did policy that we do it every other year. I thought we said that during one of our meetings, because otherwise every year it's quite a feat.
I don't know
I
if
think it
that's
was, you know, codified or written down
We
anywhere,
just do it,
the practice.
it was caramelized and hid, so we have to bring it back up and get it to that.
Y'all got a copy.
So we should get it in there in policy. I thought we updated the policy, Vince, where you do that.
Okay.
Where we found it, where it was
I
in
think that's
August,
pretty
you
cool.
brought that up, and I thought we were gonna change it to every 2 years. When we
I'll
did some
have-
of that,
We'll check on that. If not, we'll put it in our.
because otherwise every year is too much, but every other, we got every other year in
Bylaw.
case we got a lot of way.
But at the same point, there's no use going through our county forest land every year or every 2 years or every 5 years. It's not going anywhere. You know, I mean, we can't do anything with it other than have it in county
But
forest.
we have
So,
that list, so we can just go through
Right.
here, boom, here's just added.
yeah, but the line should be at the bottom of the county forest land and say, well, that's all forest land, and then work on these
Yep, work on
10
anything else.
below it.
Yeah, because I mean, I asked if, do we still own the salt shed down here in Balsam Lake? Do we want to keep it or get rid of it? Or do we own it?
Yeah, that's been a couple months. They're still using that public.
Okay, so then we need it.
Yeah, highway still needs it, yeah. They still use that. Parcel. So. Right, it's a good practice. The beauty of it all is we know, we being Environmental Service Division, when we acquire new property.
Yeah.
Naturally, we should always kind of package it with this process, which is the tax, which is a good segue to this new legislation, Act 2116. So Supervisor Olson reached out to our state representatives. They sent this memo. There is some background information, so that it is somewhat helpful to provide some background, although I'm guessing you still have more questions for our state legislators to respond to. So I don't know if you all got a chance to read it. I know I just handed it out. Basically,
Yeah.
you know, again, it entitles the former owner to the proceeds of the sale of those delinquent properties minus any back taxes or liens. And they have the right to those proceeds up to 5 years. So there's that. And then in that second paragraph, under the heading 2021 Wisconsin Act 216, the act requires the county to use the net proceeds to pay off any lien placed on the property at the time of the sale. If the net proceeds cannot satisfy all liens, the county must pay lien owners in priority based upon the date of lien. So that provides some caution. You brought up the example of those properties behind Menards, you know, the proceeds didn't exceed what's the liens on there, then why sell it? Because otherwise we're responsible for that. Servicing those liens.
I mean, I'm just thinking of the extra work she has to go through in 5 years. So I mean, we get a parcel now. You sell it, we can't spend that money. That's all gonna be put on hold.
Right, we'd have to
And
set
for
up
5
a
years, you have to set up
special
another
account
account.
for that, put
You
those.
wait 5 years to decide.
And
if
you're
you're
never
get
gonna,
it.
and you're never gonna spend it, because as soon as we send the former owner the letter saying, hey, we got $50,000 sitting in the bank from the sale of your house.
Yeah, and you
They'll
get
be
five of
right,
it.
they'll be right in
and
to
then they'll
get it.
show
Why,
up.
why wouldn't you be?
Yeah.
I
There's
mean,
also a disincentive for, mortgage companies to
To do anything.
do anything, because we'll do it
Because
for them.
the county will do it, and what can we charge? 2%?
That's a question. It's not really,
It's not really in
for
there.
administrating it, or my time, Leah's time, Amanda's time, how do you quantify that?
so I guess my thought to Bob was the other day when we were discussing this on the phone, I guess yesterday, because I just got it yesterday. I think we should ask questions of the representative's office. And I'm more than willing to send them to the guy in Robstadt, in both their offices. Formulate some questions, send them and say, okay, we've got a meeting on such and such a date. We would like, answers to these questions back by,
Yeah,
before that.
what is the reasoning to make the county do all the work and get nothing?
Right.
Yeah.
This was a push from the Realtor lobby.
Well, sure.
Yep.
Who doesn't do anything either?
Mm-mm.
Because they'll say anything to get their 2%, and then they're gone.
Yeah, they get more than that.
Do they?
Yeah, a lot.
6.
Yeah.
Yeah, they get 6.
So this is just, yeah.
Again,
Yeah, I mean, I see no reason for the county to take property.
That's what could
Exactly.
happen, and then you're gonna have lots more dilapidated
Yeah.
properties.
and loss,
Yeah,
and loss of
so
tax base.
realistically,
Lots of tax base, yeah.
Right.
The house in
You have a
Osceola,
lot of
two
unintended.
down from Kim's, is gonna fall to the ground, so to speak, because there's no incentive for us to take ownership of it.
Yeah.
We'll have to maintain it. The village has ordinance to mow the lawn. A storm comes through. Granted, we'll turn off the utilities, but there's O&M costs, for 5 years to monitor.
We have to
that
insure
house.
it.
Yeah.
Tree falls,
And then-
kids go in
And
there
then
and
it
tear it
doesn't
apart.
matter, when we
something
sell it in
happens.
5 years, we still gotta hold the money for 5 years.
Yeah, if we sold it next week, we gotta hold the money anyway.
Yeah, and if we sell it in 5 years, we got all the upkeep cost on it and.
It really is.
Who dreams these
But,
things? up?
but, I mean, it is a priority for
unrealistic
WCA.
Yeah.
To try to lobby.
They're.
And I mean, they came around, one of the officers came around and told me that, WCA was very opposed.
Right, but they also did not actively oppose it
Okay,
at the state level.
so it's
and-
kind of like, I
Because they
don't
didn't want
like
it-
it, but I don't do anything about it.
Right, they
Yeah.
didn't want it to appear, and I can understand. The way it was marketed, the way it was presented was, well, of course, the former owner, if there's excess, the county shouldn't just keep that. And so that in theory sounds good, because why should the government get a windfall theoretically? But all of these other things that are sort of hidden within it and these unintended consequences, because of the way it was marketed, the WCA didn't want to appear that they were advocating that counties should just
Get money.
get money, so that's why it was a very nuanced, but now we've got it, and now they're willing to dig their hands in and try to lobby to fix it. Keep the things that they want, keep the spirit of it, but get rid of some of these other issues.
Yeah, and adding years to it. My goodness gracious, how many years can you be in default and all this? It just keeps
Right.
dragging everything on. I mean, it's inevitable.
Well, I don't think anybody's gonna let their house go back for taxes. If that's the only thing against it. Go put a for sale sign on the realtor
Yeah,
and sell it.
Right, there could
You
be,
think
somebody
so?
becomes incapacitated, or, I mean, there are other reasons why it
Right,
happens, but
yeah.
right, but I
People
mean,
inherit stuff and just walk away. The
yeah.
kids just, nope, we're not gonna touch it. They inherit
But if
something and I don't
we
wanna keep it
so if
up.
they don't wanna,
They
if they don't wanna
Yeah.
touch it, then it
Yeah.
doesn't
Just
matter if
leave
they
it,
get the
yeah.
money.
Yeah.
But
Should,
if we're gonna put the work in it, then they're gonna be there to collect.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
We will put the 2 parcels up in Clam Falls up for auction. When? I mean, I can do it anytime. Do you want to just
We need
stay
an
on?
appraisal on that.
I'm sorry.
Those aren't taxed.
We can sell
You can pick
those.
any price.
I can set the
How's
minimum.
it going up there? A couple $100,000. What do we price it? at?
Yeah, yeah, as long as you're buying.
What's the appraisal up there? An acre about. For those up there. Do you have any idea?
No idea.
You can look it up.
Well, okay, so the
You
one
gotta-
is, the one is realistically landlocked.
Yeah, I'll pull it up.
The other one's pretty small. One's like 9 acres, the other one's like,
Yeah, the nine,
The
the
jump-
the
the
nine
nine
and
is the
10 acre
landlocked.
one is landlocked.
okay. Yeah, but we left the dam in, so we sell them a boat with it to get.
Boat, rowboat, 12-foot rowboat comes with.
With a pole to get through the weeds. Or get one of those beaver ones.
So yeah, these are the 6 acres where new dam is being built. Would advise selling that. There's this one, which is predominantly wet, and then this one, which we just found. I remember earlier, people had questioned about an easement, because it is landlocked. And there is an easement between Northwest Electric and Donald and Lewis Moody. However, this easement is not transferable. It doesn't run with the land. It doesn't run with Donald and Lois's family or guests. It's really an easement from here to here. I think there was a landing or a dock down here. So this one's really, this easement's expired now that we have.
Just run off the end of their property and across to it.
I think you can see it. Do you know what that is? Is there a landing out here?
Oh, there's a landing there somewhere.
You can look at.
I don't know where it is. I can tell you that the 3.96 acres up there on the top, that's worth about $3.
Is it as wet as it looks?
Yeah, I mean, it is literally, it's just the backwaters of the lake. I mean, that's all it is.
There's no land there?
If you
I
took
doubt
every setback, there wouldn't be any
there's
highland.
enough that you could build on it.
Oh, really?
You know, I mean,
Put a
maybe if
camper.
you sucked it in, got a real close up, you could see, but it'd be a sliver of land and then just swamp.
There's this one, and really your only customer is,
These people there.
because they have
Yeah,
access.
Moody's.
Yep,
What is that, trailers?
it's a
Campers.
campground.
Oh.
But then who owns the lot?
South.
Oh, that's
It's all
DNR.
DNR
That's
land.
this is all DNR.
That's all DNR, right?
Yeah.
And then you got this one, which I don't know, looks like there's some dry ground.
Not a lot.
What's on it?
Huh.
There's a house on it.
Fred's camper.
Is there a camper on there? It looks like.
Busted.
Brad's camper.
I thought I was gonna get it for $5.
So there's a
He said
camper.
3.
Is that garbage in that other deal? Is there a hole there?
Well.
Well, but you gotta remember, that's not current.
Well, there might be a market for that one.
Yeah, because there's, when you suck it in, there's more in there than what it.
Yeah.
Okay, these I can put up to auction, these I can put a minimum and, price.
Why not?
$3.
But what are they doing us? I guess, I mean,
Do we want to wait? Do we want to follow our typical tax delinquent process?
waiting forever?
Well, we have to make a
We're 2
decision on
years
that.
behind, so we gotta get 2 years ahead. I think the longer we wait.
Tomorrow, these up for
Put 'em
auction
up
tomorrow.
I think, put them on
But we would have a minimum, especially in that one lot,
for both.
because.
I put a minimum on
Yeah,
both.
But I mean, the one on the
Start
one
somewhere.
lot, which is the larger one, and they're next to the camper, campground, I think we need to put that's lake frontage.
So both of them are. This one too. I mean, somebody buy that for a camper spot and stuff. I mean, look at how thick the campground is. One guy might want to have more room to go to that 3 acre lot.
Right. But if we don't put a minimum on it, he'll say, I'll give you $5.
Yeah.
Because he's the only one.
Well,
who-
Brad already tried that on us. I mean, he's sneaking around.
I was ready to adjourn and just head over to the other, side of the road and get the deed.
That
Which one?
just to the north of the big lot right there, just that little bit of land left.
Oh, right here,
Yeah. Is that part of,
there's an overlap.
oh, right above the,
This one?
no, go back down.
Right there.
Right there.
This one,
No,
No.
that's,
Well, yeah,
Okay.
that's it.
who owns that?
the Richard Cook.
50 different lots under there.
So how does he get access?
Steve's got a story, Steve Geiger, about this. This is a long
You can't really own
issue.
water. Must have been. That was before the dam was
It's
put in.
all platted, the lake is all platted underneath it.
Underneath it because of the dam flooded it then. And then the DNR never took it back over and paid them for it, because you can't own the water. So they made the flowage. You can't own it. So they flooded it, then they just left it.
There's a story behind this. I just don't recall what it is.
Is he buried there? That's what you're saying. Is he buried there or
So
something?
there's a cemetery. Is the cemetery platted? We don't own the cemetery, do we? Just checking, because there should be a cemetery right next to Moody's.
Oh, no. Jay's interested in that one too.
We got all kinds of stuff.
They got all kinds of.
We're gonna deed it to the town of Lincoln.
Yeah.
We'll take
We do
it.
too, so.
We could ask our real estate
Some
attorney.
little
to sit
overlaps.
there, but I think there's a means and a way to get access to
Easement of necessity.
an easement
Yeah.
to property that's landlocked. You can get it. So that's not worth.
Oh, yeah, and they might, because they don't even own that little point right out there to the north. See that little point there's building out
Well,
there?
but they
don't-
could own it depending upon where the line says they don't.
Yeah. Where that guy owns under all the water, it shows that apparent gap.
Yeah.
So do you get an appraisal or do we pick a number for you?
It's up to you.
Well, I would say we gotta put a minimum.
Yeah,
What do we think?
Well, what if the hurt to get an appraisal? They're free, right?
no, there's a cost.
Oh.
Okay.
Is it,
Free went out the window.
hit the full report, what's it worth on there?
Well, it won't be anything, because remember, we got it from the utility, which are tax exempt.
Right, which means this topic really isn't on the agenda.
So it's all zeros. All right.
I think you have to just put this on the agenda and then they can maybe do a little research about costs.
I can look at comps and, that's gonna be tough. But,
5 acres.
appraisal.
5 acres minimum starting.
How much lake shore, I mean.
It starts somewhere. It can always come down.
$5 an acre.
No, it's grand an acre.
Yeah.
We sold
Where
it.
they came from.
Only on an easement.
Oh, that's worth millions. Okay, we'll do that then if we have to do so. And our next update on number 9 will be which ones we can get rid of.
First contact the campground guy and see if he wants to buy it. Make him a deal.
Well, you gotta,
We have to do it.
I know, there's a
We have
process.
to put it up for auction. No tax deed we have to, it's just regular land. I don't know if we have to.
That kind of reminds me,
I don't think we have to, I think. we should probably-
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we talked to that guy and.
because the other
Yeah, I
time,
mean, you,
the one in the town of Lincoln, that the neighbors interested.
the .00.
004, we have a potential buyer there. I mean, do we just adhere to that current tax delinquent process and put that out later then, right? Or,
But we don't own that .004.
Not yet, no.
I mean, so.
We don't even own it.
It would have
again,
to-
so a future agenda item would be looking at these 2 lots. I don't think we're gonna sell the Apple River Prairie Home, excuse me, Amy Prairie Home Cemetery. Be part of that. Just be those 2.
Which one did we acquire? We gave it to
That's
Lincoln.
We
gonna,
gave that, I thought, to the town.
well,
But we have to. They have the last.
So are you talking about the cemetery?
yes.
And so
So last
there's
week,
the deeded, there's what the records show as the owner. Certainly us. But there's what the operation of law based upon the fact that it is a cemetery, that it is the town's. So
right. So last
Shred the
week,
deed.
I received a letter from Wisconsin Historical Society confirming that the Prairie View Cemetery has now been cataloged and recorded. So basically, that cemetery is deemed a burial site in perpetuity. So if you recall that Destiny made minor improvements out there. And we're actively marketing it as a burial cremation site to provide those services. So the property is now listed as Polk County property as a burial site. Got confirmation from the neighbors they're going to continue to maintain. However, and then Sally Spadell has a list of cemeteries, so this has been added to her list. However, typically cemeteries like this are the responsibility of the town. And so we still have to make that transfer, simple e-transfer to the town. So, and they
I have a question about that.
Absolutely not. You're here to represent. This is something you're getting.
This will be a unanimous vote. I'll vote for this one to get it to the town. Go ahead, Jay.
We're not even gonna charge you. What do you want, land?
We'll put a minimum on it. But anyway, I think the statute probably indicates that the township is required if it's abandoned. And that's not abandoned, it's owned by the county.
No, we abandoned it.
I don't think you can.
Well,
We just did.
again, this topic is not on our agenda.
it's not, sorry, it's my.
So, no, but so I think we're having a conversation about topics for the upcoming agenda, so I think we'll add it.
So Lincoln wants that. They want that other 4. We want that spot for the fire hall. They kind of all go together.
Oh, we already got that.
But we're gonna take that back. If they take the other piece, we'll give it to you.
A county is prohibited from owning
Mhm.
a cemetery, so,
Yeah, see, so I said shred the deed.
Uh-huh.
but anyway, we can have a
Shred the
detail.
deed. I'd have a deed ready written in Lincoln's name.
There's so many plots. What happened?
Okay, that's interesting. Okay. So actually, so Amanda would give us an update on that account too, then what's it? So
Right,
so it should be way
19.
down that we have to have gold.
Right,
We don't have like 3 million anymore in there, do we? That we had to hold. What is it, like 66,000?
don't recall.
It was down.
Very much.
No, compared to what it's been. See, now these 2 lots, the money would not go to there. That would go right. These would go to the general fund.
Right, there are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I'll put both these items. The,
2 lots
these 2 lots.
but do the cemetery separate, so he shows up.
Consideration of that, and then the Amory Prairie Cemetery.
Yep.
We'll probably continue the act. 316.
Right. Because again, Amanda said that the 12 parcels that are outstanding in terms of taxes have yet to go to court. The judge rules on ownership, and then we have 45 days to reach
After
out.
that.
to them.
So it could be
We have some time there. for
probably
that.
3 months, yeah.
Mhm.
Pretty much. Yeah, okay.
So if we go to court for ownership, do we have to take it
What?
on the tax deed parcels?
Parcels to 12.
If we go to court and the judge says, yes, it's yours, do we?
Once the judgment is entered, you can't then back out. But we can back out anytime prior to the judgment being.
So what I'm saying is we don't want to ask for that judgment until we know if we want that.
So you want me to ask the court, well, let's see where we're at
Mhm.
next meeting, but.
Yeah,
Could
because
ask
that-
the court
to
to-
explain this better, that we're gonna get stuck with something.
Yeah,
that
that's
we
what
can't
I'm
do it,
saying
we're gonna
is
get
we
stuck.
don't want to go to court
So
and
we
take
might wanna-
them.
We might want to dismiss as to the parcels that are outstanding. Is that
Yeah.
what?
Yes,
Okay.
Well, if they owe.
because we
more
don't,
than they're worth.
okay, the house in
So,
Osceola, I at least don't want to take it and then say,
We gotta
oh,
maintain it and all that.
now we don't know. I mean, I don't want the county to take any of these until we know more about
I really
216.
think that if we're going to stop the legal process that's already been started, that would be something we'd have to go to full board. But
And then we should have a better explanation about 216 is gonna. nail us to the wall.
But we have started the legal process, that is what you're saying.
Yeah,
We have,
For the Osceola one.
All of it.
for all
All
of
of
them.
them.
Everything has been filed and we're just slowly dismissing the ones that pay.
Okay.
So after, so this would be the last time we'd be doing it. Until we know this.
that's what.
But
Amanda was
that's what I'm
saying.
saying, is I'm not in favor of taking any of these 12 properties.
Well, they already did that. See, that's all in the court already. She's already filed all this stuff.
I mean, we filed the entire process with all of the delinquent ones, and that process is why some of these have been paid.
Yeah.
Have become.
It went from 25
So
down to
those
the.
landowners are coming in and doing a payment plan or whatever.
Right, but we could still stop that with action by the county board.
I just don't know about our.
She had mentioned she had yet to get the final list to you, the final outstanding.
Right, because
So-
that's how we, okay, these are the ones that.
That's what we
Well,
better.
maybe,
really look at.
but maybe I'm the only one here who feels that way.
No.
I don't want us taking any of these. I'm not in favor of taking any of them until we
Understand this.
understand 216, because I think it's very risky to own them two houses, not knowing what 216 is. I mean, vacant land is one thing, really what can go wrong to an extent. I'm still not interested in taking even vacant land. I mean, do we know how many
Because we sit on
liens
it
are
for 5
against
years.
it? All of this, I think there's way more questions than there is answers on tax deed land, not with 216 the way it is.
Right.
And I would rather say, let's get a year behind on
Another
these
year
12
behind.
properties.
So I'm
Yeah.
gonna follow up with Amanda, and then we'll create a proposal to at least tell the court we don't want judgment entered in on those final delinquent properties to see if we can just delay that.
Okay.
Until this Act
what their
216
liens
is a
are?
little better understandable.
Well, and that's gonna take a year, Kim. That's not,
But
that's
it'd be
not
safer
something-
than taking a house that we paid for it for 5 years or till we can sell it
Yeah.
or whatever.
no, I hear you. No,
I mean, that's
Yeah.
scary that way, that we're gonna
Yeah.
maintain something.
No, to me,
Nothing.
I mean, we're already taxed all this deep into these 12 properties. And I just think the county has the ability to end up really deep into them by
Yeah.
taking ownership
Let me
of
see if
them.
I can do like some type of a stay. I've never done it before, so I don't know. Yeah.
Do we know how
I was
much,
gonna say, I
we know
don't
how much
know.
stay on
Walk in here and
taxes, but
stop
do we
your foot.
know the dollar amount for liens on those houses? No. So you're really just taking a.
You gotta go in there and do all the
Well,
research somebody
we would
does.
get our taxes off the top, we'd be the primary.
Yeah.
First, but you're right, we don't know then who we'd have to.
Hey,
How many mortgages, how many? Could be banks, it could be hospitals, everything when you read the
Yeah.
paper, it could be a list 20 yards long, yeah. There we
Yeah,
sit.
so to me, it's like, I'm
What happens?
willing
if-
to let this grow a few properties over the next year if that's what we
I
have
don't
to
think I would
do.
need county board action if I'm just asking to stay, like pause the proceedings, as long as that's something procedurally I can do. I'll
do
look
they
into
get
it.
to stay in the houses while it's in this process now?
Theoretically, yeah,
Sure.
if they're still there.
Well, it's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't though, because if they're gone and it goes to nothing, so you end up with less anyway, so. So it's,
Yeah, this act isn't very county friendly at all.
Quit paying taxes.
Yeah, just live there.
Just
Even
live
for your
there for the
kids.
next 10 years.
Well, you got 5 years
Leave
for
it for
sure.
my kids.
Yeah. All right. So then those two you'll come back with like a minimum and a starting
I'll
point.
put that on the next.
Sure. Okay,
Can we go back to
We
the
can.
solar thing, just one thing?
well, let's see.
On
That's
the agenda.
that's the next. Okay, so we're good with this. We jumped pretty good on there. All right. Yes, let's go. Apple
Okay.
River.
So you all saw the response from Apple River. I've been concerned about this since this started. I have just a lot of concerns as far as that, everybody's concerned about solar is good, it's good for the environment, blah, blah, blah. Nobody cares about what we do with all these solar panels when they run their lifespan. And the response from here, I mean, I did a little more reading about some of these things they're talking about here, or they might start buying from First Solar and stuff. That's a spit in the bucket compared to the solar panels that are made in Japan, or companies that are controlled by in China, and the companies that are controlled by China. Do you think they care about the environment when they're manufacturing those panels? And to think that the state thinks it's okay to landfill these panels when you read about what's in those panels. So I have concerns. I just still have concerns about that. And I was glad to get this, to see that this has been pushed out now. And it'd be interesting to see, because now they intend to add a battery storage component to the project. What does that mean? I don't know what that means. They're gonna have big batteries out at that site. I think we need to know more about that. Because when we talk about batteries, okay, when those batteries get their end of lifespan, what happens to them? Where do you, we have, in the state of Wisconsin, there is not one recycling place that recycles solar panels, as far as I could find. So what are we gonna do? Just dig holes in the ground and bury them and think that's okay? So I have concerns just about that, because there's a lot of, I mean, it's the feel good thing. We're gonna go solar, we're gonna go wind and stuff. It's kind of like the sustainability movement. I worked in the window industry. If you bought wood from sustainable forests, you could advertise those windows as being made from sustainable forests, so you could charge more. Well, hell, they came down the same line as all the other windows. All you did is put a different label on it, because when you find out about how it works, it was the company had to agree to buy this % of wood from sustainable forests. And that allowed them to put that label on. No, not all of them, just the ones that but people are thinking they're getting a wood that came from a sustainable forest, and that they really think when you're selling millions of windows that they're picking and choosing which piece of wood. That's not how it works. So some of it's an illusion that makes you feel that.
Marketing ploy.
Yes, yes, and I feel that that's the same thing. We're getting this marketing ploy, or whatever you want to call it, from this company who was bought by this company, who created this company, who did. I don't know if it's, I don't know. I don't think it's, my mother always told me, if it seems too good to be true, it usually is. That's how I feel about this. It's just my 2 cents, and I just wanted to add that, 'cause I wanted to get that update.
I get my 2 cents now.
Okay.
So just the other day, I seen an article out of California. They spent billions of dollars in subsidies putting rooftop solar on in California 25 years ago. Now all those solar panels are at the 80% and shot. They've got nowhere to put them other than landfills, and they're plumb full of environmentally hazardous material that's worth $2 that takes $20, $30, $40 to get out. So they're going into landfills. So I agree with Sharon. I mean, I don't know that there's anything we can do. I don't think there is. Having said that, I would like to see the county send a letter to the Wisconsin PSC asking them to not grant an application until they know how they're going to be recycled. Because just like California said 25 years ago, we'll figure it out in the next 25 years. Now we're 25 years down the road, and they're going to landfills by the tens of thousands.
They say 1 in 10.
And these are the same. It's the same group of people who said 25 years ago, we have to do this because it's environmentally friendly. We're not burning coal, and yet on 25 years later, we're destroying the environment because we're dumping them into landfills. And if we think it's going to be any different in Polk County, in California, or in any other state, we're wrong. No company is going to spend that kind of money to figure it out. And at the end of the day, does the state care? No, they don't. you know.
Well,
It's all about the money.
It's all the
and
recyclable, even all the electronic devices, China quit taking them. It shows pictures of kids taking that stuff apart, on the hillside. So
Well, that's the other.
now
thing.
we can't get rid of it because that was our only out.
Yeah.
Just
And
to
it's
put it on
like,
a ship, send it to China, they'll take it apart
do
and
we
get it,
really,
reuse it.
do we really think the Chinese are using environmentally safe manufacturing procedures to make these panels that have all this stuff in there that is not good for the environment? I don't think so. So it's okay though, because they're doing it in China. We just don't want to do it here. I don't know. I just have real concerns about it and
Karen, would you like them to come back and just have a discussion, open-ended questions? I can invite them back. If
well,
that's-
they'll send their marketing branch back and give us the,
They'll
it's,
tell us that in 25 years, we'll be
they'll have
able
it
to,
figured out.
we'll be recycling them in 25 years and there's nothing bad in them.
It's like hearing that, because I questioned, how, is this even viable without tax credits? Well, we don't get tax credits. I mean, without grants, subsidies. Well, we don't get subsidies. We get tax credits. Well, what do you think a tax credit is? Hello, how stupid do you think we are? Pretty stupid, they think we
Yeah, but
are.
remember, we did ask them for copies of their contracts with their people, and they could not give us. That was between the landowner and.
Yeah,
It was
So
lease
they're
agreement.
not gonna tell you how
No.
they're compensating or,
no,
I mean, that's voodoo. I
yeah,
mean, whatever they put on there is just to appease you of
yes,
something.
just to say, oh, they asked.
I mean, they're not
Well,
gonna
and-
tell you.
And there's a reason you build it just to state specifications.
Yeah.
I mean, so that all the PSC is all they have to worry about.
So they're gonna
And,
answer the
No,
questions.
that's all
the
right. I
same.
just would hope that the PSC would be working out, but I have no hopes for that.
No.
You all are aware of the NEVI plan, the National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Plan. You're all aware of that?
Oh, yeah.
That's coming our way. So within every intersection of state highway, within 1 mile, there'll be a charging station.
And Highway 8 is a part of that.
Yeah, so every 25 miles, there'll be a charging station. This is rolling out this year, and it's a federal program. I'm just bringing this up because you're gonna have, this is, the impetus behind all this is the automakers. In the next 10, 15 years, they're committed, and they're already changing their assembly lines to make the majority of their vehicles will be electric. And
how are
so
they
this,
gonna
the
follow?
pressure on the grid to supply that electricity, in a way, this is in preparation for that.
There's gonna be an app on your phone, so you're not gonna physically have to charge your car at that intersection. You're just gonna be able to put that app and go, I want $50 worth of energy.
Because that's always been the biggest barrier
Places where it's free.
to electric vehicles is the charging station. And it's gonna be private sector. You're gonna see them at C-stores. In fact, this NEVI program, these charging stations can't go on DOT right away. They gotta negotiate within a mile of every intersection, again, Highway 8, 53, negotiate with a private landowner to build a charging station.
And where are they gonna
Parking
get
lot
the
and charge.
electricity for
There's
that?
a lot of money behind this.
They'll turn off, are they gonna turn off our air conditioning in our homes to be able
Yeah.
to charge vehicles?
Charge
Because
the
the grid can't
Can't
handle it.
keep up.
Yeah, and the grid is national, and so what's
Yeah.
produced here can be sold in Florida.
Yeah.
Good news is we won't have to pave roads anymore because there'll be no road tax.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Mhm.
and the roads will just stay the way they are because electric cars don't hurt them.
That's right.
You all remember the JDA, that joint development agreement? So I know Tracy does, Jay does, we
yeah,
do.
I remember.
25 years, shared utility payments, the county's getting roughly 240, 140,000. Apple River's getting 81, Lincoln's getting 59,000.
And the way inflation's going, by the time they get it up and running, 240 won't mean nothing.
That'll cost, what it costs for the one station, you gotta put in do the electric cars.
I'm sorry, I just don't have a good
Just be
feeling.
thankful.
So that
Not
whole
in
10
your
acres will
town.
charge two
Yeah,
cars a week,
really.
yeah, okay, good,
Really.
yeah, we're saving the world.
Yeah.
All right,
That money is just a buy-in, Bob.
Well, it's a payment in lieu because we're losing that tax. But you're right. I mean, after 25 years, remember, we rezoned it to sunset after that. So who knows?
If you can find some place to get rid of the panels.
Get some other fuel.
You'll end up with it back in tax.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
sorry.
you'll get them good solar panels with it in back down.
I just hope the hell I'm still here in 20 years so I can see.
So what's our budget priority? Is that gonna fall into the next one here?
And solar power.
Solar and solar power.
Yeah.
Budget priorities for 2023. Do we have a list started
I
yet?
do, I got a list. It is budget season. It's not a very huge list. Where did I put it? The undeveloped lake study. We looked at Dinger. We have a couple new lakes. Remember, you kind of left it up to staff. So we're looking at doing 7 lakes over 2 years. So that'll be $14,000 or $28,000 total over 2 years. This isn't like last year. I had several additional budget requests. That's one of them. If Land and Water is awarded that trim grant, remember, we, per resolution 1022, that's when I came and asked for $64,000 from ARPA to match for $700,000. So if we do get awarded that grant, what we plan to do is use part of the grant to fully subsidize, fully pay for a 3-year limited term employee for Land and Water, because the workload's going to be pretty much triple. So that'll be in there. And really outside of that, outside of an additional RGIS license, really there's nothing beyond that. So don't anticipate a lot of, like last year.
The GIS, all that's caught up. Is it
Yeah,
not?
remember we
And I'll
did
get caught up.
LiDAR last year, so we're,
Those are all.
yeah, we did RGIS to RGIS Pro last year. We had quite a few, we had a couple folks in different wage scales. Yeah, those are the only 2 that I plan to deliver to them.
So with all the IT security, does each department put something into that?
Yep, but IT works with all the vendors on all those maintenance agreements. So that's been moved from every department. All of our software, all of
That
our,
goes up to IT now.
it's all housed in IT now. We pay them, we reimburse them.
Okay. Now, has any of that gone up like some of these other ones?
A little bit, the RGIS Pro, which we upgraded, it's a little, I think it's $2,000 more a year.
What we send that in when?
Sorry?
The codified code. When do we send that in? to update
That's
that?
in the clerk's budget now?
That's in the clerk's budget.
Yep.
We do that, we're trying to do that once a year.
You just did it, right?
It's August. They'll be coming out in August. The pages come out in August.
Okay. How many have we changed? Quite a few, because our rules of
Just
order.
got the
Five.
list. I think it's 5, but
Okay.
we're working on a 6th
Well,
one.
rules of
Wasn't
order
included.
changed. We had some other.
That's the
That's-
one that we
that's-
just finished sending
Yeah.
in to them. I just reached out to her this morning and actually just got an email from her at 11:27.
Okay.
If the rules of order is going to be included in that supplemental packet in August, if it made the cutoff or not.
So we changed to a rooming house, some of those. I think.
Those are all.
Yeah.
those
Those are all in
I
there?
think there was
Yeah.
5, was it 5 or 6?
Yeah.
Yep.
5 or 6 pages. So.
No. Ordinance
No,
amendment.
that's just how many.
Yeah, the amount of pages.
Lots of
Oh, that hurts
pages.
your budget, about 10 grand worth of stuff. Must be.
I
Yeah, there
can't
was
recall.
5 and then the special instructions for chapter 8. So 6 things total, but this does not include the rules of order.
Okay.
I asked her about that, if that's gonna make it in this
In this one.
updated one in August, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we moved it
that's
over
in
clerks
August.
because that's where it should be, you know. It wasn't our budget first year, but it makes sense to have it in the clerks. It was at $17 a page.
19.
A page, yeah. And these are all, okay. Does that have to go up with work too? Or schedule, or is that gonna cover us?
Sorry?
Is that covering it? I mean, there's, that goes into their budget. They worry about that, not us.
Yeah, it's all our, it should be all our budget.
But do you charge us for it? Oh, cool. I don't care. Vince is gonna take care of that.
And that's it.
That's about all we have, okay, so. So do we put the priorities on the next one and decide if we're the lake studies, the trim grant, and the other stuff, and then move it on for Vince, that's a
No,
priority for us?
I think this is it. This is the opportunity because those are the only two I have. There's only two I'm gonna request. It's budget season. This is all due August 5th, so I'm trying to work with Don for them, you
So
know.
you're gonna request it and come back to us, he says no, that we'll override.
You certainly have that opportunity.
Oh, he's here, he is here. Whoops.
You know, over the past few months, you know, Bob talks with me, we collect ideas, what are the priorities going on in each of the divisions? So, you know, this is like kind of that attempt here to say anything else that's really important to this group so that I'm aware of it, Bob's aware of it. It comes to me as we put our budget together, when we get all the pieces put together, we come up with a administrator's budget and we start bringing it back to each of the committees, and then in October, we vote on it. But you can always amend it. I mean, that's, but I.
Add, subtract, yeah.
So.
What are you gonna add?
Do we have any playground equipment coming up in the budget this year?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Lots of good ones.
I'm gonna start working on that right now. I mean, getting rid of it.
That-
putting it
That got,
right in
hid-
front
that
of the
got,
county.
that got buried under parks, kind of miscellaneous.
It's in the park CIP now.
Yeah. it's
Anybody know when we're
miscellaneous.
gonna get our new computers?
They, I believe, are in or coming in, and I don't know if they have all of them, but I know that a couple of supervisors have gone and picked them up.
Ah,
Picked up what?
computers.
Computers.
You guys are getting
That's
computers,
what this is.
new ones,
Do they work in Clam Falls?
Huh?
Do they work in Clam Falls?
only if you have service.
They don't even work
So you
here
might
for
check
God's
with
sakes.
Scott Good, and
Okay.
that's when you can come pick yours
When did
up.
we vote on that?
Okay.
Doug, did you get one?
This is cheaper.
No,
Yes, it is.
No.
Why did we get, just like iPads and stuff, then why did we go to computers again then?
It's
Maybe
it's
more
a yoga
smaller.
book. It's a little smaller than like the laptops. They're a little more powerful. I think they're a little more smaller and a little more versatile.
Okay, so when did we vote on getting those? Oh, I'm just asking. I'm just,
That's been in the, I think that was in last year's budget that we would do this, because we would be, part of the.
They put it in parks and
long-term
trails.
goal
okay.
Is the amount of staff time and the amount of things that fall through the cracks is unbelievable. We have to have a way to communicate with the supervisors consistently. And some.
I'm gonna move
people just-
over so you can
I
talk
know.
directly to the county
I know.
board chair on computers.
But we are going in a way that's going to make it as easy and as simple as possible to get the basic communications. I can't force each one of you to learn how to turn on this new device and get your emails, but you're gonna have to. And if you don't, you don't. But I know from a legal standpoint, we start getting in trouble when we have to send it to the county device, but oh, for Mr. Olson, we're also gonna send it to his personal device. And, or we have to also make a phone call. And so that's the way we're going. How fast we'll get there is up to you all. But we're making this as simple as possible. And we have great teachers now. Scott Good and his staff are very good. I thought, who was it that went in and just got trained?
Wasn't me.
Wasn't me either. I couldn't even get, they couldn't even get a password to, I couldn't get it. I've been into it
Right.
since day one. I've said I do not want that.
Yeah, all I'm trying to do is just say, we have to go this direction, you know, and
Who's we?
eventually-
Who's we?
eventually, and all we're doing is putting ourselves at risk and making us inefficient. And I'm not gonna twist your arm and hold a gun to your head, and if you don't do it, you don't do it. But we're
Public
gonna-
shaming though, public shaming.
Yeah, that's maybe it.
So you walk in here, the lights go out, boom, and then we have nothing. And then here we sit. We just shut, then we just shut the meeting down.
Well, then we go to plan B, but
We go to plan B, that way back up, and then we have our handful again. Every meeting we walk in, we get a handful of paper. don't we? But you go on a computer here, you go up and down, page 150, page this, and we're going all over. Here we sit, lost in the dark.
All we're trying to do is. make
I'm
it-
fully on board with you, Chairman.
I think we should all get
I'm
in
sorry I
here.
asked the question.
No, but we should all get them, put them up and sit here and page through and see if we can follow it. And see if the glitch goes, boom, here we all sit.
Are you on board with Kim's grant here, Doug?
Yeah.
Well, at least, see, we're at least sitting on the same side, we're divided. I better move this way. You know,
Yeah. But interesting, I think we should get it there. We should have a meeting and try to, and go through a meeting with just though. Nobody can have paper or anything and see if it works.
I mean, we're not forcing you to do that, but even Mr. Olson, who says, we're not gonna do that, I can email Mr. Olson on his county email, and he gets the message, and he opens it up and reads it. And then he can reply to that. That's all we're
So you
asking.
got a password that works. I got one that it hasn't worked since day one.
Have you gone back over there and worked, talked to Scott?
I
Yeah, I know, well-
only do it so many times.
when we just switched to whatever system we got now,
Yeah.
it took a long time.
Yeah, I had
Office
to- I had to
360.
go back in and
I'm patient. I don't care how old my emails are.
So maybe we'll put Brad and Kim on the same email.
There you go. That's why we both just call each other. There.
On your personal phone.
Why, oh, you buying us phones
Going,
too?
yeah, now I'm in.
There,
Now I'm in.
Oh,
Because
wow.
really, we don't need one of these. We just need a phone.
There.
Because you can do it, everything you can do on this, you can do on a phone. So now I'm in.
Now we're in.
Now-
Now. There.
So we'll just send them a QR code and that's.
Yeah.
Unlimited, whatever, right?
Everything,
On our
everything
phone.
unlimited. No data, anything, it's just unlimited.
All right, I've got like stuff to do, so.
Yeah.
You think we've digressed here?
We have,
What do we have for the next meeting first? What's
Next
on the next?
agenda item, so that would be the Henry Prairie View Cemetery, public hearing for zoning. We'll talk about the Clam Falls property. I'll try finding some comps, otherwise, you know, we could
We'll
set a
set a
minimum
price.
price rather than get an appraisal.
Yep, we'll set.
And then whatever else is merged. One quick,
Do we have any public hearings coming?
One, yep, he just said one.
Oh.
Jason has one.
this would be August 3rd. There's a light agenda again.
So I would say I am in favor of getting back onto the first Monday of the first Wednesday of the month. So that if we have something,
We're on the first and third.
yeah, but we haven't been, I mean, we're only
We've been
once
skipping
a
one.
month.
So, but
Yeah.
we
I
want
would
the
be in
first one
favor of
for
getting
sure.
back on the
And then
first
skip
one
the second
again.
if we have.
And then skip the second, only because so if we have something that's going to the county board, it gets there. Otherwise, like, okay, now we pass something today that goes to the county board, it's a month out.
Yeah.
You know, where if we get back on our first meeting, or, you know, the first Wednesday, then it's lined up for the county board. meeting.
I won't be here on the third.
Oh. Good. Look, I thought I just seen a work plan that were,
I just pay.
it's pretty much with the fee schedules and stuff and those two requests, that's for budget season. We're sitting pretty good, aren't we? You know, that way?
Yeah.
Okay. So August, yeah, on our work project is tax deed properties, Lorraine Trail Development is all that we have on there for now.
Yes.
Okay, so then it would just be any, I suppose to be safe, any budgetary things, if something comes up.
Anything emerges, I'll talk to you if we need to
Yeah.
add it or not.
Okay,
One quick note too, Ben Alfeld, his wife, Kim, had twins. Just under 7 pounds each.
Oh, my.
Have you met Kim, who's his wife? She's. The names are Clara and Clarence. Good luck at.
yeah.
Clara and Clarence.
and we lost one highway guy too. We heard that last night.
Yeah.
Mark.
Okay, so quickly before we adjourn, do we want to send any questions to our representatives on 216?
Does anybody have any specific questions on 216 or otherwise? If they can just explain it.
Yeah, well, anyway, what I would say is send him to Malia. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's
And then she can get them to me and I'll fire them off and see if we get
Any
an
answers?
answer. And sooner would be better than later, because I'll pressure him to have answers to me by the 2nd of August.
Okay.
Are you talking to WPA? What?
No, they would go to Representative Magnifici and
Oh,
Senator
okay.
Stepfield's
Okay.
office.
Yeah.
So anybody who hasn't signed one of these saying that they've given me everything that they have and listing what they've given me needs to do so. I brought extra copies.
Oh, I never saw that.
Was on the last page of the letter, so if you didn't, no big deal. I know you've given me everything that you have. You've given me everything. You've given me everything. You've given me everything. You have? Okay, all right. What's the time frame?
I don't know, I just heard yesterday that Scott was on vacation.
Okay.
And how could he be on
It is on vacation through Monday.
Monday, okay. All right, so, and then.
So
Kim,
I'm left.
You're left.
So what do I get? Oh, you wanted all them emails?
Mhm.
What's on the county email? Just take it out there.
If it's on the county email.
Yeah, you don't have to if it's on the county
You
email.
don't need to provide, what I need is anything on a personal device or personal email.
Yes, I have those I showed you the other day. And I had that, they sent me just what meeting dates were.
Yeah.
Stone tablets that have been carved into.
So forward that to me and then sign this saying you've given me everything. Please.
And then we'll turn around and do it 10 years.
Then we'll do it again.
So Sharon, I'll just have you sign one too.
Okay.
Supposed to sign one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you have nothing, so you can just write NA and then sign.
Did they say, I got the same, didn't you get the same things I did?
Emails, they can pull them off the county thing.
Yeah, if it's on the server.
Right, he just sent the exhibits. That's all I have. So I just have where he sent us the exhibits, and that's what you want me to send to you.
If I sent it to you or if the counties know, then we don't need that. It's anything that we wouldn't have on our system.
Anything outside.
Anything outside of it, like you sending an email from your personal email over to Tracy's personal email about the, or, you know, from any of those
I
people.
got a burn phone to call her.
So if you got
That's on tape.
That's what star 67 is for.
Okay, so that I can sign one, I'm good, because I showed you these are all from Jacob. Okay. Cool.
Good one.
Yeah.
I like that answer, Kim.
Was that all I?
Yeah, you're good. Just write NA in your handwriting.
And that's not proof what you're giving her under there, so you might as well keep that.
Good thing is you could sign this so you couldn't even read who it is, because it
Oh,
isn't printed
You don't,
underneath.
you
so they
can't
don't
have
know
my
who did it.
notes.
So I put any of them. There's a lot.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Sharon,
I make motion we adjourn.
is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I thought it just opposed.
Just opposed.